I am a wealthy master in India. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1: A Magical Country. Poof. The sharp sound slowly prolonged, and Ron's twisted face slowly relaxed. Damn, this feeling of relaxation really makes people love and hate it. Squatting is a happy thing, but if the frequency is too high, it becomes painful. It has been 3 days, and Ron has no idea how many times he has been in and out of the bathroom. This is all because of the cup of holy water that the old servant Abby asked for, the cup of holy water that was sent all the way from Varanasi to Mumbai. Yes, holy water, the original holy water from the gangs. God knows, Ron will never gamble his life on the holiness of the gang's water. That was all done by his unlucky predecessor. Thanks to him, after a cup of gang's water, a young soul from the Celestial Empire descended to India in 1992. As for the original Ron, he had gone to see Lord Shiva with the gang's water. He left happily, but the current Ron was the one who suffered. For 3 whole days, the frustration of the sphincter losing control made him unable to even raise the strength of Hong Wen. He wanted to curse Abhi countless times, but considering that the other's ashes were placed in the corner of the room, Ron sighed again. The old servant Abhi also went to see Lord Shiva, and he and Ron shared the pot of holy water. As a devout Hindu, old Abhi even rinsed the pot of holy water with clean water and drank it, without leaving a drop. As a result, Ron jumped for 3 days, and Abhi jumped to the west. After confirming that there was really no food in his stomach, Ron subconsciously stretched out his left hand and scooped water from the bucket beside him. But just in the air, he shook his hand angrily. This damn muscle memory. He had already suffered a loss once. That was the day he just woke up. There is no need to say more about the details. Ron only remembers that the water flowed down his buttocks, and finally made both legs wet. The first thing he did after that was to go to the market outside to buy some toilet paper. Thanks to the paper-making technology of his ancestors, he was blessed in India. After cleaning himself up, Ron rubbed his numb legs and moved to the sink. Fortunately, the handsome young face in the mirror comforted his lonely soul. White skin, gray eyes, a high caste, and a high caste inherited from the Aryans. This is indeed the case. Ron Sir was originally from Uttar Pradesh, but he followed his parents to Mumbai, Maharashtra last year. Sir means the servant of the sun in Hindi. In ancient India, only Brahmins were qualified to claim to serve God. If he had a dark and short Dravidian appearance, then even if he was a high caste, Ron thought it would be better to follow Abhi to the west. Not all high castes have white skin. This is divided into north and south. After washing his face, Ron cleaned up and prepared to go out. He was going to the train station to pick someone up today, old Abhi's youngest daughter, Nia. After learning that her father had passed away and Ron had no one else around, 16-year-old Nia bravely boarded the train heading south. Her family had been servants for generations, and their duty was to take care of Ron's family. Now that Ron's parents had died in a religious conflict and old Abhi was gone, Nia had to take on the responsibility of taking care of Ron. Even though the surname Sir had long since fallen into obscurity, a Brahmin was still a Brahmin. The caste system of more than 3,000 years, which continued to the Indian subcontinent in 1992, was still deeply rooted. Ron hadn't seen Nia for more than a year, and now he could hardly remember what she looked like. After counting the few remaining savings, Ron took a few bills and prepared to go out. However, as soon as he took a step, he touched his stomach again with concern. He really had no confidence in his sphincter, so he went back to the bathroom. He pulled out a piece of toilet paper, rubbed it, and measured the size again. Well, it was almost there, and Ron stuffed it behind his butt. This was okay, as long as he didn't turn into a jet fighter, there would be no problem. The grand community where Ron lives is located in the southwest of Mumbai, not far from the coastline. Although it is only March, the weather is already as hot as the summer in China. In addition to the fishy and salty sea breeze, there are also various mixed smells in the rolling heat waves. When he first exposed himself to the air in Mumbai, Ron retched for 5 minutes. As expected of an Indian, this smell is very good, carefully avoiding the black puddles along the alley, and stepping over a pile of unknown filth. Ron turned to the market outside. It is more lively here, with bustling crowds and various vendors, lined up for a long distance along a dirt road. Most people are wearing brown or white robes, some are wrapped in headscarves, and some wear white hats. The only bright color is the women's sari. In addition, almost everyone is barefoot and likes to put things on their heads. Ron was first attracted by the dense stalls on both sides of the market, which are almost the source of all kinds of noise. The coconut seller was holding a rusty machete and chopping the shells. The hand-crank juicer at the sugarcane stall was clanging. The dark-skinned man carrying yogurt was walking and shouting. The smoke from the milk tea stall filled the entire street. There were quarrels, the sound of the snake charmer's flute, the play of naughty children, the shouting of the shop owner chasing monkeys, and the slow mooing of the old cow. It was too noisy. Too noisy. But it was in the gangs, after all, this was India. Ignoring the chaotic greetings around him, Ron walked straight to a milk tea stall. Ganesh, the old rules, a 20 paise coin was thrown steadily into the clay pot on the table. Nanny, take through, the brown man behind the table greeted him with a smile. Then he scooped milk, boiled black tea, and added sugar. It took only 2 minutes for the whole set of actions, and the warm milk tea in the ceramic cup was handed to Ron. He took a sip and it was so sweet. The taste was a British legacy, and the three brothers learned it thoroughly. However, a cup of milk tea alone cannot be considered breakfast. Following the same method, Ron bought a naan from the pancake stall next to him. This thing is thin and crispy. In Hindi, it is called tandoori. Rejecting the curry sauce handed over by the stall owner, Ron drank milk tea with naan, which was considered today's breakfast. He refused all other fried foods and meat. The buff given to him by the cup of gang's water will last at least a week. The milk tea and naan cost him 70 paise in total, less than 1 rupee. 100 paise is equal to 1 rupee, and $1 is about 18 rupees. This is the price of goods in India, which is incredibly cheap. Of course, this does not mean that Ron is not short of money. On the contrary, he only has 60 rupees left, which is not enough for the rent for next month. Although the apartment he lives in is old and shabby, the landlord will not ask for less than a penny of the monthly rent of 200 rupees. This is not a good start, Ron thought nonsensically while drinking milk tea. Ron, where are you going for a walk today? I'll take you there. A chubby Indian man came over on a tricycle with a big smile on his face. Ron ignored him and walked towards the bus station not far away. Really, I will give you the cheapest price this time, so cheap that no one with a normal mind dares to take it. Anand, I will never trust you again. Last time, you charged me 20 rupees for a distance of less than 2 kilometers, but I was your free tour guide that day, and I am the best and most first-class tour guide in Mumbai. Anand's round face almost reached Ron's nose. He smiled very brightly and very simply, even making people unable to get angry. First of all, I am Indian, and I am an Indian who has lived in Mumbai for more than a year. Tell me a reason why you need a tour guide. Facing Ron's open hands, Anand muttered. You acted like an idiot that day, you didn't even know the way home. There's no reason not to slaughter such a fat sheep. What did you say? I said Ron, you are kind and tolerant. You have great pity for poor people like me, Anand shouted. Besides, as a Brahmin master, how can you walk on the road that your lits have walked on? Ron paused. How do you know I'm a Brahmin? Anand shook his neck and said nothing. His smugness was beyond words, as if he had discovered a great secret. Okay, Anand, you don't have to bother me anymore. I'll take the bus today. Ron waved his hand and walked to the crooked bus stop sign. He was determined not to be fooled by the other party today. Bus? Are you sure you want to take a bus like this? Anand pointed to a double-decker bus that was coming crookedly. Yes, crooked. I don't know if the whole body of this bus was tilted to one side because there were too many people squeezed on one side of the door. Not only that, its roof was also dented. How could a double-decker bus be so high up that it was dented like this? This was Rod's first reaction. However, the bus did not stop, it just slowed down, and then drove away with a door full of arms, heads, and butts. Haha, Ron, Indian buses do not stop, you know that, don't you? Anand next to him laughed with gloating. Okay, Ron sighed. Anand, how much is it to Victoria Station? 100 rupees, 10 rupees, deal. Anand clapped his hands excitedly. Damn it. Ron's face was full of question marks. Get in quickly, the road to the train station is not easy to walk. Anand patted the back seat of the rickshaw. I have a question, you know 100 rupees is impossible, why do you still offer such a price? Ron, you don't understand the fun of bargaining. Besides, this is India, and shrewdness is a noble quality that everyone should learn. Ron laughed and shook his head. India, it's really a magical country. Chapter 2 Indians don't cheat Indians. Anand cheated Ron again. It was not that troublesome to go to Victoria Station. Today was a Hindu celebration. Some rich people had hired taxis along the street and generously sent believers on their trips. After leaving his tricycle with his friend, Anand took Ron to stop a taxi with an orange flag. He pointed at Ron and told the taxi driver that this was a Brahmin lord and the most devout believer. As a result, after the other party took a look at Ron, he actually agreed to take them to Victoria Station for free. The whole process went unexpectedly smoothly. The driver didn't even suspect whether Ron was a fake Brahmin. However, Anand didn't get on the car. He went back to peddle his own rickshaw. In other words, Ron paid 10 rupees for nothing, and Anand didn't even put in the effort to put it in his pocket. Until standing in the square of Victoria Station, Ron's mind hadn't turned around. He doubted whether Anand had agreed to bargain 10 times so readily just now because he had known about this matter a long time ago. This was fucking incredible. For the first time in his life, Ron began to doubt his IQ. But now is not the time to worry about these things. Picking up people is the most important thing. He has heard about the chaos in Indian train stations, which is no different from fleeing famine. However, when he looked up and saw the magnificent and spectacular Gothic building in front of him, Ron was shocked. Is this a train station? It is not a big deal to say it is a church or a museum. It is too gorgeous and beautiful. What is more entangled is that it appeared on the streets of India. No wonder some people say that the city of Mumbai belongs to India and does not belong to India. It is closer to Europe. On the way here just now, Ron also observed that there are many Western-style buildings nearby. Walking on the street, it seems to have hit the summer version of London. But it is limited to this small area. After all, there is also the largest slum in Asia in the north. The train station is very beautiful, and there are as many people in it as imagined. Sitting, lying, and with things on their heads, it is a huge crowd. Everyone speaks in groups of 3 or 5, and Ron can't understand many dialects. There are more than 1,000 languages in India, and more than 1 million people use 120 of them. There are 14 languages printed on the rupee that are recognized as official languages. By the way, although English is also one of the official languages, but less than 5% of the 900 million people in India can speak English. And the small number of people who can speak English are mostly concentrated in the upper castes. In fact, most ordinary people can't understand English. Although Ron has a good talent for languages, he can only speak Hindi, English, French and the local Marathi language in Mumbai in India. He glanced at the clock in the hall. It was 9:45, and there were exactly 5 minutes before the train he was waiting for. Fortunately, he caught up. Ron walked straight in without stopping. There is no ticket checking in Indian train stations. Anyone can go directly to the platform next to the track. Ticket checking is the job of the conductor after boarding. There were too many people lying on the ground. In order to avoid stepping on people, Ron took several minutes to get to the platform. At this time, a train happened to arrive at the station. With a whoosh, the crowd began to stir. Some people were carrying luggage, some were leading sheep, and some were looking for children. The peaceful scene just now suddenly became a mess. The train had just stopped and the people on it hadn't gotten off yet, but the people below were swarming in. The shouting, crying, and screaming were so loud that it hurt people's heads. The anxious third brother started to pry through the window, but he was immediately hit by several fists and screamed. Even so, he didn't let go. While being beaten, he pushed the luggage in. Ron, who saw this scene for the first time, was stunned. Can little Nia come out alive? Without any hesitation, Ron rolled up his sleeves and pushed the crowd in. At this time, don't worry about the Brahmin master or the untouchables. Finding Nia is the most important thing. 15 minutes later, Ron, sweating profusely, looked at the sparse pedestrians blankly. The train had already left, and most of the people had dispersed, but he didn't find Nia. Missed it? Or did the skinny Nia not squeeze out? Ron walked quickly to the ticket window to inquire about the previous train. As a result, the people inside told him that the train he was really waiting for was delayed. How long will it be delayed? I don't know, sir. No. Yes, no one knows. The preliminary estimate is 4 hours, but it may be longer. 4 hours. Ron suspected that he had heard it wrong, and after confirming it again, he got the same answer. Shit, Is this Indian time? Train delays are measured in hours. Now there are two choices in front of him, either wait here or go back to sleep. 4 hours, it's not certain. Ron suspected that he would get heat stroke before he saw Anya. Or go back first. He turned around and prepared to leave, but a quarrel attracted his attention. I said, I want to go to the hotel. I don't understand what you are saying. I'm cheap. I'm the best tour guide in Mumbai. Believe me, sir, you need me. Sorry, I don't understand. Please let me go. You want to pay cheaper? No problem. 200 rupees, no less. A white man, speaking English. A brown local, speaking Marathi. The two of them talked about their own things, and they became more and more excited. Look, they are about to quarrel. Seeing that the white man was about to call for help from the police not far away, Ron interrupted at the right time. Sir, do you need help? Pure and fluent English instantly made the white old man feel like he had grabbed a life-saving straw. God, there is finally someone who can speak English. Tell him quickly not to bother me anymore, otherwise I can only ask the police for help. Okay, Ron gently comforted him, then smiled and turned to face the native who was staring at him in amazement. Anand, what a coincidence, we meet again. But didn't you plan to come to the train station just now? Why are you standing here again now? Ahoha, it's you, Ron. I'm a rickshaw driver. I go anywhere as long as the customer needs me. You came at the right time. Tell him quickly to hire me as a tour guide. I can give him the best service. Anand seemed to have forgotten what happened in the morning. Now there was only joy from the bottom of his heart on his face. What a superb acting. Ron smiled. Where's my 10 rupees? Anand's round, fat face froze a little, but he soon blinked as if nothing had happened. Ron, I took you to the station, and our deal is done. Then I told this gentleman that you don't plan to leave, and you plan to follow him. No. Anand waved his hands quickly, and he glanced at the foreigner, his expression tangled. This foreigner is obviously a fat sheep, and a very rich fat sheep. Although the other party spoke English, he understood the name of a hotel. Taj Mahal Hotel, a famous 5-star hotel in Mumbai. People who can book such a place must be super rich. Anand even suspected that this deal would be enough for him to live a carefree life for half a year. Okay, Ron, you win. I'll give you the 10 rupees when I go back. We both know where each other lives. Great. Ron, who had won back at game, now had a clear mind. It's not that easy to make money from him. Then Ron began to explain to the white man what had just happened, such as Anand was a good person and a good guide. Since he came to India for tourism, he must need such service. After figuring out the situation, the old man named Smith finally let go of his hostility towards Anand. I do need a guide, but I want to hire you, Ron. Me. Ron pointed at himself in surprise. Yes, you are the most suitable candidate. That short and thick guy looks like a swindler no matter how you look at him. Seeing the foreigner's eyes sweeping over, Anand, who was waiting on the side, immediately put on a flattering smile. You, lowered his head. Smith's idea of hiring Ron became more determined. Being a guide? Ron raised his eyebrows. This seemed to be a good idea. He was short of money now. Mr. Smith, it's an honor to serve you. But there is one thing I need to confirm with you first. My price is not cheap. From now on, it's 50 rupees per hour. Of course, I believe that high-quality services need to be paid for with reasonable remuneration. The two parties shook hands gently, but Anand on the side became anxious. Chapter 3 Fat Sheep. Wait a minute, Ron, did you guys make some kind of deal behind my back? Anand's shrewd eyes flickered on his round face. This gentleman hired me as his tour guide during his stay in Mumbai. What? Anand screamed. You can't do this. I was the first to touch his luggage. He's my guest. Don't get excited. Ron patted his shoulder calmly. Mr. Smith took the initiative to ask him if you don't believe me. Smith, who was standing next to him, saw Anand's face turn red, and subconsciously took a step behind Ron, and at the same time made up his mind to stay away from this manic patient. Poor Anand was broken, but he still had to put on the brightest smile to win over the customer, but Smith ignored him at all. Ron, Anand said with a sad face, I will never cheat you again. I will return half of the 20 rupees I paid you last time. Can you give me this fat sheep? It's not a question of giving or not. Mr. Smith needs a guide who is fluent in English and familiar with the local conditions in Mumbai. I am most familiar with Mumbai. I know every corner here. I know what you should see and what you shouldn't see. I can even take you to see some extra exciting things. Tell me about the exciting things, Ron was curious. For example, the Horse Street and Leopold Bar. Those who patronize there are all very successful people. Selling silver, flying leaves, borrowing usury, black market transactions, smuggling, forging passports, and stop. Ron had to reach out to interrupt him. Mr. Smith is already retired, and he probably can't do anything when facing women. Then, okay, I get it. Ron waved his hand and turned to face Smith. This guy's name is Anand. He's my friend. He has no bad intentions, there's just some misunderstanding due to language problem. But this guy has a rickshaw. He can take us to visit the most charming scenery of Mumbai without reservation, such as the Gateway of India, the Gandhi Museum, the Mahalakshmi Temple, and the Elephanta Caves. Oh, that sounds good. Smith nodded frequently. This is exactly why he came to Mumbai. He has seen those big cities a lot in Europe, and the unique cultural style of India fascinates him. As an art practitioner, he needs to visit these places. So I think it would be more interesting to sit in a rickshaw and slowly appreciate Mumbai. Not a bad idea. Smith agreed with his suggestion. Ron nodded gentlemanly, then turned around with a smile. Do I need you, Anand? Absolutely. Anand shouted. You need me very much? I almost want to cry for your situation. Without the excellent me by your side, who knows what terrible things you will encounter. Then where is your rickshaw? Coming soon, Anand shouted, and immediately rushed out of the platform and rushed to the outside of the train station. When Ron helped Smith carry the luggage out, Anand's rickshaw had already stopped at the door and was very clean. Without Ron's greeting, he was busy and attentive. He put the luggage and put up the sunshade, very neatly. Mr. Smith, shall we go back to the hotel first? As a guide, Ron also got on the back seat. Is there any place worth going on the way? I prefer to visit the handicraft market. Smith was very excited and a little impatient. Then go to Colaba Market. There are everything from clothes and accessories to souvenirs and handicrafts. The most important thing is that there is a Manja cafe there, which has authentic Indian flavor. Haha, I can't wait. After coaxing Smith with a few words, Ron switched from English to Marathi. Anand, go to Colaba Market. Wait, what were you talking about just now? Anand, who didn't understand, pedaled his bike and scratched his head. His English vocabulary only includes yes, no, okay, no problem. It's not important. Answer me a question first. What? Do you know anyone in Colaba Market? Of course, I know every store and every boss there. Very good. Ron nodded with satisfaction. When you get there, find reliable people first and tell them. For every purchase made by the guests I bring today in their store, I will get a 20% commission. This is impossible. Ron, it's too crazy. Anand was shocked by his big appetite, and even forgot to continue pedaling with his short legs. Nothing is impossible, or I can take Mr. Smith to other people's stores. The choice is ours. You can tell them what I said, but this commission is really too high. Anand's face was tangled. Don't think I don't know the huge profits of those handicrafts. They are all made by hand, and there is almost no cost. Don't talk to me about labor. The least valuable thing in India is people. Anand opened his mouth and finally nodded dejectedly. Okay, I'll try. Ron directly raised the commission to 20%. How should he offer as a middleman? 23%, or 25%? It can't be 30%, those old guys will spit in his face. Ignoring Anand's eyes rolling around, Ron began to introduce the scenery along the way to Smith. Although he was not very familiar with Mumbai, he remembered a lot. It was more than enough to bluff foreigners. Not to mention, Smith recognized Ron's bookish air. In his opinion, this is a noble quality, and he hates the mercenary and cunning Anand. When they arrived at the Colaba Market, Ron began to introduce the handicrafts here, amulets, sculptures, masks, temple models, each of which was well known. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Anand quietly disappeared, and had already colluded with his acquaintances to prepare the next routine. They knew all these tricks. After all, as the biggest fraud country in the future, the third brother's talent in this area was top-notch. Ron first got Smith to find out what he might be interested in, and then chose the right store based on the list handed over by Anand. Precise delivery, one pinch and one accurate. Smith did not disappoint them. This London gentleman with rich savings had a great interest in the dazzling array of handicrafts. In order to reassure him, Ron also helped to bargain, and he always argued with the shopkeepers. He could bargain down to 500 rupees for something that others offer 2,000 rupees. It's worry-free, too worry-free. This guide is worth hiring. Smith waved his hand and said, buy. £1 can be exchanged for 36 rupees, which is a drop in the bucket for him. Smith even thought that the prices in India were too cheap, so he wanted to buy everything he saw. As a result, 2 hours later, Ron and Anand had a big bag full of things in their hands. Smith, who was addicted to shopping, even collected an Indian lunchbox. Fortunately, the old man was tired after shopping for a long time and was ready to go back to the hotel to rest. Ron, I just want to take a shower and have a good sleep now, so let's take a taxi to the hotel. No problem, Ron agreed and took Anand aside while hailing a taxi. This is the bill I just wrote down. You go and collect it now. And I'll pick it up from you in the afternoon. Don't worry, I also wrote down a copy. Anand was more concerned about this matter than Ron. Anand was very excited at the moment. Today's order was enough to eat for half a year. Okay, I'll go and see Mr. Smith off now. With a taxi, the next journey was faster. When they arrived at the hotel, Smith even invited Ron to have lunch together. I'm very happy today. I hope we will have a more pleasant journey tomorrow. While saying this, Smith also handed him a £20 note as a tip. Of course, I'll pick you up at the hotel entrance at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Damn, the British are really rich. They spend hundreds of rupees at a time, which is more than the money they pay to hire him as a guide. After collecting the tip and hurriedly saying goodbye to Smith, Ron rushed to Victoria Station without stopping. He calculated the time and it should not be 4 hours yet. When he stood on the platform again, the sound of a whistle came from a distance. It was very hot in Mumbai at around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. After rushing all the way, Ron bought 2 bottles of Indian ice cola. This time he learned his lesson and directly held up a sign and waited in the shade. He didn't want to experience the situation of being covered with big men again. The lingering smell of a curry made him feel uncomfortable. But when the crowd dispersed, it seemed that there was still no one waiting for him on this train. Was it late again? Ron looked confused. He couldn't be late twice in a row, so he was going to ask again. The moment Ron turned around, a figure wrapped in a light blue sari was standing there. She was veiled, slender, and had black hair to her shoulders. From the exposed wrists, her skin was fair. Who are you? Ron seemed to have noticed something. The girl untied her veil, and her delicate face was weak and charming. Her bright and breathtaking green eyes were full of smiles. Baba, what? Ron, who was immersed in it, shuddered suddenly. What's wrong? Nia looked at him puzzled. What did you call me just now? Baba, a special honorific in Hindi. It is a respect for teachers, saints, and very powerful people, and of course, masters. Nia didn't know why Ron asked this. He should understand these. If the master doesn't like it, I can change my name to another one. No. You should still call me Dad. Ron refused righteously, but the smile on his face became more perverted. Chapter 4, Slums and Spoils. Although Ron was prepared for the fact that India is very hot, he couldn't help but mutter, too hot when he came out of the train station with his luggage. Baba, let me carry the bag. Nia, holding an ice cola in her hand, was a little panicked and distressed. How could a servant let the master work while she watched helplessly from behind? Especially since she and Ron grew up together, the latter was treated like a young master since he was a child, and the master's family never let him do even a little housework. If her father Abi was still alive, he would definitely scold her severely when he saw this scene. But the luggage was really heavy. She just tried to move it, but she couldn't move it at all. When she got on the train, it was her brother at home who helped her put the luggage in advance. Nia, you don't have to feel guilty. When you get to the place where you live, the hygiene and unwashed clothes there will be left to you, okay? Nia smiled happily. She stretched out her pink tongue and licked the ice cola in her hand carefully. It was so sweet and numb. Also, you have to promise me one thing first, before getting in the taxi. Ron put his hands on his hips and looked at her seriously. What? Little Nia put down the Coke in her hand nervously. From now on, you can only call me Dad. Looking at Ron's serious expression, Nia's green eyes were first a little surprised, and then soon there was a kind of joy of being spoiled. Babatisk, Ron shuddered unconsciously. This sweet voice was like drinking ice Coke. Get in the car. After stuffing the luggage, Ron waved his hand. He made some extra money today, and he was generous like other Brahmin masters and took a taxi home. Of course, The weak little Nia was also one of the reasons. Ron was worried about taking her to squeeze into the bus. God knows what will happen. If the capital Delhi can have black bus incidents, don't expect Mumbai to be much better. Ron has never hesitated to speculate on the character of the third brother with the greatest malice. It's about 5 kilometers from Victoria Station to Grand Community. According to the speed of the taxi, 15 minutes is enough. But this is India. There are not only pedestrians and tricycles on the main road, but also various animals. The naughty monkeys wandered around in the middle of the road as if nothing had happened, and the slow old cow even lay down at the intersection to rest when it was tired. For a while, there were loud horns and quarrels outside, and the tricycle drivers and taxi drivers got off the car and pushed the old cow in a panic. But the latter did not move at all, as if it knew that it was in a superior position and others could not do anything to it. Ron, who was sweating profusely from the heat, said in distress, "Are we just going to wait like this? The police will come to solve it," the taxi driver in the front row said calmly. Sure enough, a policeman with a long wooden stick came over soon, patted and hied a few times, and drove the old cow to the open space next to it. Finally, they left. After wiping his sweat, Ron looked at the driver dissatisfiedly. "Why don't you turn on the air conditioner?" "There is no air conditioner in the car." The driver spread his hands innocently. "No." Ron was stunned, his eyes looking at the center console. There was nothing there, not to mention the air conditioner, even the CD drive and the storage box for the passenger seat. There were none. Damn, it was amazing. This broken car was extremely economical. "Let's go." Ron waved his hand weakly. He shouldn't have any expectations for India. 30 minutes later, the two finally stumbled back to the apartment. Because his palms were sweaty, the luggage kept sliding down in Ron's hands, and he couldn't pull it. When he arrived at the place, he threw the things away. He lay down directly on the rattan chair and didn't want to move at all. On the contrary, Nia began to look at her new residence with full energy at this time. This is a 2-bedroom apartment. Although the room looks spacious, it is also dilapidated and old. The white walls have long been yellowed, and there are cracks and paint peeling everywhere. There is also a large patch of mold and wet marks in the corner near the bathroom. Obviously, the landlord has never taken care of them. The other decorations in the house also looked very casual. The carpet was red, the curtains were green, and the tables and chairs were dark walnut. The color matching of the whole room was a mess. But Nia was extremely satisfied. At least she didn't have to share a toilet with hundreds of people. "The room inside is reserved for you," Ron pointed to the next door to the bathroom. "It's still missing a bed. I'll ask Anand to go to the flea market tomorrow to have a look." "Baba, I can just sleep on the floor," Nia refused quickly. As a servant, how could she sleep on a comfortable bed like the master? "Listen to me on this matter. Just do it obediently." Ron didn't give her a chance to refuse, and didn't care whether this was an Indian custom. In fact, that room was originally occupied by old Abby. He spread a thick blanket on the floor and said that it was a bed, and everyone else did the same. Forget about the rough old man, but Ron couldn't bear to let the fair and tender Nia sleep on the floor. Just when he was about to continue to explain something, Nia had walked to the wall with a shrine and began to pray with her hands folded. "Sorry, Nia Baba, Uncle Sir and his father will be reborn in the holy river, and they will be happy in the next life." Ron nodded, feeling a little sorry. After all, little Nia had just experienced the pain of losing a loved one. "While the sun is still up, there's hot water in the bathroom. Go take a shower first." "I have something to do, Baba. Are you going out?" Nia's face was full of attachment. "I will be back soon. Wait for me at home." "Don't go out." Nia had just settled down and was unfamiliar with the place. Ron should have taken her to get familiar with the surroundings. But now there was something more important. He had to go to Anand and get his reward back. The area where the other party lived was very dangerous at night, so this matter had to be dealt with before dark. Mumbai is the economic center of India and a paradise for the rich. But what is less known is that more than 60% of the population of Mumbai, which is more than 10 million, live in slums. Yes, Dharavi is only the largest one among them. There are more than 2,000 slums of all sizes. They are scattered among the towering buildings and apartments. There is one near the Grand Community where Ron lives. They are separated by a road, and crossing it is another world. There are huts built of plastic boards and reed mats everywhere. They are made of bamboo poles as beams and pillars, coconut fiber ropes as bindings, and rags as door curtains. Looking around, There is not even a piece of iron sheet to be seen. This is really poor and there is not even a clang. Fortunately, Anand's residence is easier to find. His hut is made of rare mud and the roof is also made of hard plywood. This hut is on the outskirts of the slum, a few steps away from the messy shanty town. There are several similar houses around it. It is not an exaggeration to say that they are mansions in the slums. They are very rare. But even so, Ron just approached her and frowned because of the stench of the toilet. But it was only a moment before he regained his composure. Don't expect anything about the hygiene in Mumbai. You can smell the smell of urine when you walk to a corner on the street. The garbage dumps everywhere also remind you that this city has a strong smell. Ron's arrival had already alarmed the people living in this area. Those dark-skinned children ran to tip off Anand before he got close. So when he arrived at Anand's door, the other party was already standing there with a smile on his face. Ron, I didn't expect you to actually come. You are the first Brahmin to patronize this place in the past few years. I made a big deal today, and I need to get my reward back. Ron rolled his eyes. The slums couldn't scare him. Well, you don't know how scary the shop owners looked at me when I collected the money. If there weren't so many people in the market, I suspect they would kill me and take the money for themselves, but you look better than ever now, Anand. I know, come in. Anand waved his hand in disappointment, motioning him to go in. It seems that it is impossible to get this guy to give him more money. Faced with that huge sum of money, he was entangled for a long time. Chapter 5, Make it a career. Before entering the house, Ron had imagined what a slum house would look like. But when he really faced it, he was still shocked, and his face even looked stiff because of being too surprised. Anand's house has only one room, and you can see all of their lives from the door. The square house is about 2 or 3 meters wide, and there is a bed at the corner of the entrance. It can't be called a bed, at best it is a net bag made of ropes on a wooden frame, with large and sparse rope holes. The foot of the bed is a place to hang clothes, a rope is slanted across the 2 walls, and dry and wet clothes are in it, and it also serves as a storage function for the wardrobe. Opposite the bed is a stove made of stones, with some bottles and jars placed next to it, as well as cow dung fuel. In the corner of the house on the left-hand side of the entrance door, there is a mat made of straw. This is Anand's home, and it is in full view. If it was just him, Ron wouldn't be too surprised. But this house of less than 10 square meters is still crowded with 10 people of all sizes. When Anand's wife saw Ron at the door, she smiled at him in a friendly and shy way, and then she held the baby in her arms tightly with her hands. The other 8 children, the oldest was 12 or 13 years old, and the youngest was still babbling on the ground. Without exception, they all stared at Ron with their big, blinking eyes, curious and fearful. When Ron met their bright and innocent eyes, he suddenly felt ashamed. He shouldn't have come empty-handed. There was a market downstairs in his apartment, so he could just buy some sweets without being at a loss when facing the eager eyes of the children. Jamal, Tilaka, take your brothers and sisters to play outside the house. Anand waved his hand habitually. In a flash, the children in tattered clothes all came out of the house chattering. When they were outside, they seemed to come alive, and happily discussed how clean and beautiful the clothes on the guest were. Anand's wife, wrapped in a khaki sari, held the baby in one hand and poured tea for Ron with the other. Anand, I didn't expect you to have so many family members. Until now, Ron still found it hard to imagine how a family of more than 10 people could sleep in a small house like sardines. In response to his greetings, Anand laughed proudly. Ron, population is wealth. Jamal and the others could help with work when they were 5 years old, and now they can support themselves. It was rare that Anand believed that raising children did not cost money, and the more children you had, the more helpful it would be for the family. How old are you this year? 19. Aha, you look like a virgin. Frida and I had our first child when we were 15, Anand patted his belly proudly, and his wife Frida also giggled beside him. It seemed that in their eyes, it was a pitiful thing to have not slept with a woman at the age of 19. Ron shrugged and then gave him a thumbs up. Another round of laughter came, and the restraint and slight estrangement in the room quickly disappeared. Good-natured jokes brought them closer. Frida, go outside and see what the kids are doing. Don't let them damage my rickshaw. Anand used an excuse to send his wife away. When there were only 2 people left in the house, the atmosphere calmed down again. Here's today's bill. That fat sheep spent a total of 23,000 rupees in the Kalaba market. It's a scary number. Ron also made a rough record of how much Smith spent today. He took a quick look and knew that it was about the same. He earns in pounds, and 1 pound can be exchanged for 36 rupees. This little money is nothing to him, that's right. We should make a big profit from him. Anand bulged his eyes and urged. Such a fat sheep may not come across once a year, so it would be a waste to let it go. Let's talk about this later. Where's my money? Ron didn't forget the purpose of coming here. Well, Ron, I dragged you around today, and I also helped you negotiate the commission with those troublesome guys. See, faced with Anand's pitiful round face, Ron was unmoved. He just continued to rub his fingers and said nothing. Okay, Anand muttered and took out a paper bag from his waist. Ron took it unceremoniously and counted it 4,600 rupees, with denominations ranging from 5 rupees to 500 rupees. Most of them were small 20 and 50 rupees. It was a big handful, which made people feel at ease when holding it in their hands. Happy cooperation, Anand. Ron was very satisfied that the other party did not play tricks. It was getting late, and Mumbai was not safe at night. Nia was still waiting for him at home. Wait, Ron, we have to discuss tomorrow's matter. What? I'm talking about the commission. You took 20%. I ran around to negotiate, so I should get a little bit, right? Ron stopped and stared at him with a smile without saying a word. What's wrong? Anand shrank his neck. What was the commission you agreed with them at Calabar Market? Of course it was 20%. Is it 30%? No. Absolutely not. Anand shook his head like a rattle. 28%. Okay, let's not talk about the commission. Go home quickly. Ron smiled and turned to the door, where more than 10 pairs of big black eyes were staring at him. He stood still and turned back. Anand, take me home, Saint. We live only 1 kilometer apart. Can't you find your way home again like that day? Anand came out of the house cursing, waved his hand to drive away the naughty children, and walked in front pushing the rickshaw. Ron walked 2 quick steps behind him, and then climbed onto the back seat with peace of mind. Anand, are there many tourists in Mumbai? Of course, this is Mumbai, famous all over the world, so, being a guide can be a business. Yes. I'm doing this business now, Anand in the front said loudly. No, I'm not talking about a one-person business, but treating it as a career, that's right. Being a rickshaw driver and guide is my lifelong career. Ron, who was sitting in the back, was almost angry and laughed. I've decided, Anand, I want to do this career. You want to pedal like me? Anand turned his head in surprise. I'm a Brahmin master, of course I want to do a big business. Ron waved his hand heroically, too lazy to explain the difference to him. Then before that, learn to recognize the road first. Anand stopped the car and they arrived. It was almost evening, and the market here had not yet ended. The noisy sounds and lights made the streets even more lively. Wait for me for a while. Ron jumped off the car and quickly got into the crowd. A few minutes later, he came back with a few paper bags. There are fried cakes, crispy balls, masala dosa, and a chicken curry. Take it back for the children. Anand, who was a little impatient at first, suddenly widened his eyes and froze in midair with his mouth wide open. Roran, I'm just a dullet. And you, okay, remember to pick me up tomorrow morning? Roran waved his hand and disappeared into the alley. He didn't seem to realize how shocking what he did was, a Brahmin and a dullet. The gap between the two was so big that even the Indian constitution could not fill it, but he just stepped over it lightly. He never thought about how much his casual action today touched Anand. Chapter 6 Black Market. In the morning, the noise of the market downstairs and the intermittent noises in the living room outside woke Ron up early. Pushing open the door, barefoot Nia was busy preparing breakfast for him. With every move and step she took, the metal bell on her ankle kept jingling. Indian women are very conservative, but they are also good at dressing up, especially at home. Little Nia swept away the tiredness of yesterday. She not only combed her hair, but also painted rose-red nail polish. Between the white toes, the thrilling red always flashed, always making Ron swallow unconsciously. Baba, breakfast is ready. Seeing Ron get up, Nia happily put down the plate and began to prepare his washing things. Nia, I can do it myself, this is my job, Baba. Nia stubbornly filled the water, moistened the towel, and wrung it out before handing it to him. Ron, who was served like this for the first time, felt a little awkward, but also enjoyed it. Who doesn't like a delicate and beautiful girl, who is around him every day? After washing his face and brushing his teeth, Ron sat down at the table, but Nia still stood aside with her hands tied. "Come and sit down." "That's not the rule," Nia refused coquettishly. Ron ignored her, walked over and took her hand, and then pushed her to the opposite side of him. "The rules of our family, I have the final say." Nia was a little overwhelmed at first, but after hearing this, she nodded with full joy. Next, Ron still didn't need to do anything. Nia carefully divided the food on the plate for him, making it just the right amount for a mouthful. Looking at the pair of white and tender hands flying around, Ron suddenly thought of something that spoiled the mood. "Nia, when you go to the bathroom in the future, you are not allowed to use water, you must use toilet paper." Nia, who was unprepared, was stunned on the spot. "This is also the rule of our family." "Yeah, I know," Nia blushed and said softly. Breakfast was the usual Indian style, with milk tea and naan. Because Ron had already told her, Nia prepared vegetarian food. She was naive and thought that Ron was maintaining the habits of a high caste. After all, Hindus mainly eat vegetarian food. In fact, it was not the case at all. Ron was just thinking about his sphincter. "I may not be home for lunch today. You can buy something by yourself. The market is downstairs." Ron counted out 200 rupees and gave it to her. He was quite generous. "Too much, Baba." Nia waved her hand and refused to accept it. She knew that Ron was unemployed now and was completely living off his savings. Now that she had another mouth to feed, the pressure would be even greater. "Our family has money now, take it." Ron shook the stack of banknotes in his hand. Yesterday, he took 4,600 rupees as commission, plus Smith gave him a 20-pound tip, and Ron's savings had exceeded 5,000 rupees. The rent that he was worried about before was no longer a problem in an instant. Seeing this huge sum of money, Nia finally carefully accepted the 200 rupees. "I'll spend it sparingly, Baba." Ron smiled and pinched her smooth chin, then wiped his mouth and prepared to go out. "Oh, by the way, don't run around in other places except near the market, Tisk." "When should I take little Nia to familiarize herself with the surrounding environment?" When they got downstairs, Anand, who was riding a tricycle, was waiting at the alley with a strange smile on his face. "I heard that a little maid came to see you yesterday. I thought you couldn't get up in the morning." "I can beat 10. Ron rolled his eyes at him unhappily. Anand laughed. "Usually the more people can't do it, the more they emphasize it. You'll see it later." Ron got on the back seat in a very masterly manner. "Seriously, do you want a pawn to wake you up? It must be tiring to get up from a woman in the morning." The pawn that Anand mentioned is a kind of chewing tobacco, usually wrapped in leaves with betel nuts and mixed with various spices. After taking a bite, the bright red juice splashed in the mouth, and the local natives liked it very much. But Ron couldn't stand this strong taste, and he always kept a distance from betel nut. "Let's go quickly, don't keep Mr. Smith waiting. It's important to kill the fat sheep, and enjoyment can be put aside. There is still a distance from where they live to the Taj Mahal Hotel." Anand's short legs are thick and strong, and he pedaled the tricycle quickly and steadily. It took only a quarter of an hour to reach the hotel. "Here we are." He parked the car far outside the hotel. "Why don't you get closer? It takes a distance to get to the door from here. Tricycles are not allowed to park in front of the hotel, and you can't get close. You know, people like us who make a living are usually untouchables." Although such differential treatment is a bit inhumane, there is no resentment on Anand's face. Perhaps this is the normal attitude of the upper castes towards the untouchables, and Ron is just an exception. "Okay, I'll go in and ask. By the way, do you know any taxi drivers? My cousin drives a taxi. If you need it, I can borrow one. I can also drive a car." "Wait a minute, I'll go ask around." Straightening his collar, Ron walked into the hotel leisurely. The security guard at the door just glanced at him and let him in. Anand was not surprised by this. If it were him, he would have been kicked out long ago. Whether it was Ron's appearance, skin color, or his words and deeds, Dalits could never learn them. The difference between high castes and low castes is not only in appearance, but also in living habits, language habits, and body movements. This is why no low caste dared to pretend to be a high caste, because it is too easy to be exposed. The grandness of the lobby did not distract Ron. After he came to the front desk to tell him his purpose, the waiter told him that the hotel had called Smith to wake him up. It was easy to get up. With the help of a 10-rupee tip, Ron called Smith's room. After he said a few words into the receiver, he hung up and went outside. "Anand, go and borrow a taxi." Mr. Smith is going to the temple and the Elephanta Caves today. Both places are very far away, and it would be impossible to get there by noon by riding a tricycle. As soon as he talked about work, Anand rode away without saying a word. 20 minutes later, when Smith, who was dressed, walked out of the hotel gate, a yellow taxi just happened to stop at the door. "Ron, you did a great job. You are the most considerate guide I have ever seen. I said I would give you a full service that is worth the money." Ron bent down and opened the door for him. "Shall we go to the temple in the north first, or the Elephanta Caves in the south?" "Let's go to the temple first, but before that, there is one more thing to do. Just tell me, I don't have much rupees on me. I want to go to the foreign exchange bureau or the bank to exchange some rupees first." Yesterday's big purchase had drained all the foreign currency Smith had exchanged before. "The two places we are going to today will inevitably cost money, so we have to prepare in advance." After listening to Smith's explanation, Ron's head made a sound. "Anand, do you know where to exchange foreign currency?" "Not a bank or a foreign exchange bureau, but the kind of course there is," Anand shouted excitedly. "Black market. The exchange rate in the black market is much higher than that in the bank, and we can get a commission. Privately exchanging foreign currency has always been a lucrative job. Just like yesterday's solicitation, it is another big gray income for guides. But this kind of good thing doesn't happen often, and most foreign tourists are more cautious and don't want to cause trouble." Now seeing the fat sheep flowing out again, Anand's mouth is watering. The two whispered a few words, and Ron smiled and turned his head. "Mr. Smith, according to the official exchange rate, £1 can only be exchanged for 36 rupees. But I know a place that can increase the rate to 45. "What?" Smith was surprised and half opened his mouth. "Is it safe?" "I don't want to get into trouble. Of course, I won't tell ordinary guests. After all, I also bear the risk." Ron has changed into a frank expression at this time, and he looks like he has made a great determination. Chapter 7, Eating Both Ends. Perhaps few people know that India has always defined itself as a socialist country in its constitution. Before 1991, it implemented a protectionist policy, namely a planned economy. The government advocated full intervention in the labor and financial markets and regulated commercial activities in various industries in the country. However, the dramatic changes in Eastern Europe, coupled with a long-term trade deficit, caused India to encounter an unprecedented economic crisis in 1991. At that time, the output value of domestic agriculture and industry was negative, and the annual GDP growth rate was 0.9%, which was the worst in history. At the same time, the Indian government's foreign exchange reserves were only about $5 billion. For a large country with a population of more than 900 million, this amount of foreign exchange reserves is simply a drop in the bucket. So the Indian authorities are now almost crazy about the lack of foreign exchange, not only the government, but also the private sector. Because of the tightening of foreign exchange management, the private sector cannot exchange foreign exchange at banks, but some companies have to purchase various equipment and raw materials internationally. So there is demand, there is a market. Under the semi-acquiescence of the official, large and small exchange shops are quietly hidden in the inconspicuous alleys of Mumbai. After a period of development, this market has become a convention, which is the so-called foreign exchange black market. In order to reassure Smith, Ron explained the reasons for the high exchange rate among the people from the economic environment and national conditions of India. "Ron, you are indeed a knowledgeable gentleman." Smith had never seen a guide who could explain the economic environment of his country so thoroughly as he did. "I have the habit of reading, and I firmly believe that there are opportunities hidden in this information." "Good, then there is one last question left. Is such a private exchange safe?" 136 directly jumped to 145, which is a 1.25 times relationship. Even if Smith has a rich pocket, he has to be tempted. It's just that the profitable space here is so large that Smith feels a little unreal. "Please don't worry, we have acquaintances. If you are not assured, sir, we will come forward to complete the transaction." "Okay, let's go." Smith sat in the back seat happily. Ron and Anand, who were in the main and co-pilot seats, smiled at each other. They all knew that they had made another big deal today. Being a broker of foreign exchange, the benefits here far exceeded Smith's imagination. He thought the difference of 1.25 times was exaggerated, but Ron had reported it low. Scarcity makes things valuable. More than 10 years ago, The foreign exchange black market in China was even more exaggerated, with a difference of 5 or 10 times. Knowing that he would make a lot of extra money, Anand stepped on the accelerator very quickly. In just a few minutes, they got into a corner of an alley. Smith seemed a little uneasy as the car drove past more and more remote places. Sir, there is usually a criterion for judging the quality of exchange shops. What? Smith looked at Ron in the front row. The more prime the exchange shops are, the less surprises there are. Only small shops that no one visits are most willing to attract customers with generous conditions. Squeak. With a harsh sound of brakes, Anand stopped the car in front of a small building. From the outside, it seemed like a trading company, with a billboard written in Hindi hanging on the wall on the roof. The general meaning was that this place undertakes foreign exchange business. Ron looked at the back seat. Mr. Smith, do you want to go with me? This small building is too inconspicuous, and the house is also an old house. From the dark corridor, Smith can even see fierce-looking men patrolling back and forth. He rolled his throat twice unnaturally, and finally moved his hand away from the door pull ring. Here is £500. According to the agreement, you have to bring back 22,500 rupees, of course. Please give it to me. Ron smiled at him calmly. Perhaps Smith was moved by his calmness, and he handed over the pounds in his hand. After getting the money, Ron put it in his pocket and opened the door and got out of the car without any hesitation. The small building looks old, but it is well maintained inside. The spiral teak staircase is shining, and there is no garbage on the ground. When he reached the third floor, his feet softened. The whole area here was covered with brown carpet. Ron took a casual look and found that the materials and workmanship of the room decoration were very sophisticated. This is an old Western-style building left over from the British era. It looks quite old. Without him saying anything, a dark-skinned strong man came over. Anand introduced me here. The strong man raised his eyebrows. Do you speak Marathi? Of course. Many of my friends are from Marathi. I like people who can speak Marathi. The strong man smiled heartily. Come with me. Marathi is the local dialect of Maharashtra, abbreviated as Maharashtra, and less than 10% of the Indian population can speak this language. However, as a business card city in India, Mumbai has been promoting the popularization of Hindi. Maharashtra has always been very resistant to this, and there have been demonstrations for this. So after hearing Ron speak authentic Marathi, the strong man immediately felt cordial. After a while, he brought Ron to a middle-aged man who looked quite powerful. He looked to be in his 50s, with a thin and resolute face, a slender nose and high cheekbones. His beard and hair were shaved very short, but they were already gray. When Ron looked at him, the other's eyes were also scrutinizing and a little cold. Are you Mr. Sir? His voice was low, loud, and confident. Yes, it's nice to meet you. Anand has told me about this place more than once. The man nodded. My name is Prak. Hardahan. Ron's heart skipped a beat. He always felt that this name was familiar. The memory may come from the previous life, but it seems that the two sides have never crossed paths. I'm a little curious, Prak. Hardahan didn't care about Ron's stunned look. People with the surname Sir usually don't appear here. Oh, something happened to my family, and I need to find something to do to support myself. Both of them are Indians. Just by relying on a surname, you can judge the caste of the other party. There is nothing to hide. Most of the high castes have a good family background and rarely have anything to do with the foreign exchange black market. Ron had to explain this. I like people who are self-reliant, no matter how high or low he is, Prak. Hardahan looked at Ron with a little more appreciation. Johnny, give him a good price according to the market conditions. Understood. Katar Bhai means elder brother in India, and is a kind and respectful word. Ron stood up gratefully and saluted him with his hands together, and the latter smiled and nodded slowly. Following the strong and sturdy Johnny to the counter outside, the former explained a few words to the receptionist there, and then turned and left. Prak. Katar Khan's identity seemed to be very unusual. The people here completed the things he asked as quickly as possible. After verifying the authenticity of the pounds Ron brought, the other party counted the money happily, then wrapped it in paper and handed it to him. Mr. Sir, 27,000 rupees, please count. Ron looked at him in surprise, but the latter kept a smiling expression and did not explain anything. Thank Mr. Katar Bhai for me. He took the paper package and took a casual look at it, then put it away. This was almost the highest price on the black market. Ron originally expected to exchange it for 24,000 rupees. The extra part was considered a commission for him and Anand. After all, it was a black market, and they were brokers, so of course they had to take a cut. Although he was a little confused, Ron would not refuse such a benefit. When he reached the corridor, he counted out 4,500 rupees and put them in his pocket. He wrapped the rest in paper and went downstairs. Mr. Smith, please count, here are 22,500 rupees, so fast. Smith was shocked by the efficiency of the Indians. This was somewhat inconsistent with the rumors in the international community. Indian efficiency is a well-known word. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8. This is India. It is very troublesome to exchange foreign currency for local currency in India, whether it is a bank or a foreign exchange bureau. They will first ask you to fill out a complicated form, which clearly states everything from your personal information to the purpose of exchanging currency. Then they will use various instruments to verify the authenticity of the currency. If the amount is large, they will inevitably report to the higher levels for approval. All of the above are fine, and finally you have to copy down the serial numbers on the foreign currency one by one. Yes, you have to write down the long string of codes on each banknote clearly. When Smith exchanged foreign currency for the first time at the airport, he copied it by hand for more than an hour. As a retired old man with poor joints, he had difficulty holding a pen after that time. Originally, he thought it would take Ron some time to get it done. After all, the black market also has to go through a process. But from the time he got off the cart to the time he got the money back, it took less than 10 minutes in total. This is too fast, so fast that it is a bit unlike the style of India. After opening the paper package and checking it carefully, Smith believed that it was not a counterfeit currency. Ron, to be honest, this process seems to be a bit too smooth. Mr. Smith, I said my service would be worth the money. Yes, you have fulfilled your promise. Smith took out a few rupees from the paper bag and handed them to Ron in the front seat. Here, this is what you deserve. I know the rules. Ron glanced at it and saw that it was about 1,000 rupees. He was not polite. This was indeed a customary practice. Usually, if foreign tourists ask local guides to exchange rupees on the black market, they will give a commission of 3% to 5%. After all, the money tourists get is much higher than the amount settled at the official exchange rate. Smith was very satisfied with Ron, so he gave a higher commission. Thank you for your generosity, gentlemen. Ron put his hands together. Anand, who was driving on the side, witnessed the whole process. His round eyes never left the banknotes. Ron, this old fat sheep is so tender. I can already smell the aroma of roasted lamb. Shut up, Anand, we've already taken enough. Ron took a commission from the black market, and he took another commission from Smith. They made 5,500 rupees from both sides. But the greedy Anand was not satisfied after seeing that Smith was so easy to cheat. He was eyeing the remaining 20,000 rupees. As for foreign tourists, he would rip them off as often as he could. There was nothing strange about Anand's idea. Many Indians treated foreign tourists more harshly than him. However, Ron did not intend to do so. He had his own ideas. I said, Anand, I want to treat this as a business. Yes, we are now in the business of slaughtering fat sheep. No, it's not a one-time transaction. It's the kind of business that can be done for a long time. Anand blinked. Ron, I have been doing this business for many years, and if nothing unexpected happens, I will continue to do it for a long time in the future. This idiot. Ron was so angry that he almost slapped his round face. I want to start a company. Do you know that a company needs to have a good reputation when doing business? Start a company? Anand stepped on the brake in surprise. Hey, guys, stop arguing. Smith, who was listening to the incomprehensible words in the back, was almost hit by the brake. This is a tip for you. Now drive well. Smith angrily stuffed 100 rupees into Anand's pocket. He thought that the two of them had just quarreled over the uneven distribution of the spoils, and it must be the short and fat guy who made the excessive demands first. It was just like that at the train station yesterday. Smith had already seen the other party's materialism and difficulty. Sorry, Mr. Smith, this guy was distracted just now. Ron glared at Anand and signaled him to concentrate on driving. Anand, who had an extra tip for nothing, smiled flatteringly in curry-flavored English. 3 grams of oil, slut. For the rest of the journey, the two of them were quiet, and only Ron introduced the scenery outside from time to time. The Hindu temple they were going to this time was located near the coastline. The temple enshrined an elephant-headed god. As soon as the taxi stopped at the entrance of the temple, groups of children rushed to the car window. They stretched out their black, thin hands and shouted, 1 rupee. 1 rupee. Master, give me 1 rupee, go away. Go away. Anand, who got off the car first, waved his hands to drive them away. He had seen this kind of scene many times. After finally making room for Smith to get off, the latter looked at these children with tattered clothes, black faces and skinny faces, and felt pity. You can't be so rude, they're all children. Anand didn't understand English, so he could only look at Ron. Well, he asked you to be a gentleman, these are all poor children. Anand seemed to have heard a big joke, and he muttered in Marathi to mock. This old man doesn't understand India at all. If we weren't here, he would have been cheated out of his loincloth. Ron pretended not to hear and held out his hand to lead the way. Mr. Smith, this way. However, things didn't go so smoothly. When the beggars saw that the person getting off the car was a foreigner, they all gathered around again. They had their own way of survival. Those who took taxis were all rich people, and foreigners were ranked first. Smith, who was surrounded by them, was very embarrassed when faced with the outstretched hands. He claimed to be from the civilized world, but he finally took out a few coins. And this action seemed to stir up a hornet's nest, and more children gathered around. Some of them sang, and some began to twist their bodies and dance, trying to attract Smith's attention, while shouting loudly, "Give me 2. Give me 2, oh God!" Smith was stuck there, unable to move forward or backward. He had never seen such a scene before. See, I said this old man didn't understand India. Anand still had the mind to make sarcastic remarks. Don't laugh at me, hurry up and work. Ron, who was well prepared, took out a handful of coins from his pocket and stuffed them into his hand. These were the coins he had exchanged in advance, all in very small denominations. After getting the money, Anand shouted a few words to the group of children, and then threw a handful of coins into the open space in the distance. With a whoosh, the crowd of children dispersed in an instant. They rushed over to grab the coins, and some even wrestled with each other. Smith, who had just been annoyed by the noise, found that there was no one in front of him. It was so quiet that it was like a dream. Mr. Smith, let's go. Ron pulled him straight to the ticket office. There are millions of people living in slums in Mumbai, and there are countless children like this. God. Fortunately, you are here, Ron, otherwise I am worried whether I can get out, although I don't want to admit it. This is India. Some of those children are from slums, and some are organized. You said there is an organization behind them. You are a foreigner, you won't be in trouble in the short term, but don't let your guard down. The water in Mumbai is very deep, and Ron only learned a little from Anand. In fact, think about it, more than 2,000 slums are the natural soil for the growth of grey industries. Ron can already foresee that he will inevitably deal with some of them in the future. Because in India, many meetings, promotions and contracts are facilitated by bribery and sheltering. Chapter 9. Not enough, far from enough. Smith is an artist who is proficient in illustration, stage design, photography and other related creations. One of the main goals of this trip to India is to hand-paint the local customs and people. So he certainly won't let go of ancient buildings such as temples and caves. In the past 3 days, Ron took him to all the scenic spots in Mumbai. Hinduism, Islam, Jainism, Buddhism, all styles are unlimited. As long as you want to see, you can go anywhere. Of course, in these tourist attractions, there are all kinds of cheating colleagues. Those who invite you to take pictures with cameras. If you are stupid enough to take a photo, they will definitely ask you for money after the photo is taken. There are also those who hold cash and want to exchange it for foreign currency on the spot, and use inferior brass to pretend to be gold jewelry. There are countless. If it weren't for Ron and Anand taking care of him, Smith might really be cheated and have nothing left. Ron, you really need a qualified guide when traveling in India. I'm glad you said that. I'll take it as a compliment, of course, of course. This is my business card. If anyone around me comes to travel to India in the future, I will definitely let them find you. Smith was ready to leave. He had been in Mumbai for 5 days. According to the travel plan he had made before, he would take the train to Goa tomorrow. I recommend you take a plane. The Indian train is really not suitable for you, Ron persuaded while leaving his contact information. Haha, don't worry. Have you forgotten? The first time we met in Mumbai was at the train station. Okay, then, I'll help you book the train tickets. Oh, by the way, if you want to buy tickets by yourself in the future, remember to buy tickets with AC logo. Because only such carriages provide air conditioning. Thank you, this is very useful. Finally, before leaving, can you help me exchange some rupees? I don't think there will be such a good thing in Goa. Ron and Anand looked at each other and nodded obligingly. Of course, for the next half day, Smith packed his things in the hotel. Ron and Anand went their separate ways, one to buy tickets and the other to exchange rupees. According to the agreement between the two parties, their employment relationship ended at this point. But on the next morning, Ron and his friends still came to Victoria Station to see off the old gentleman Smith. God bless you, thank you, thank you. Smith was very touched that he was being cared for by two locals like friends in a foreign country. I should go now, goodbye. They boarded the train and waved to each other. As the hum faded away, a journey ended. Ron, looking at the gradually blurred train, Anand looked sad. What's wrong? Will there be another fat sheep like this in the future? Ron rolled his eyes and didn't want to pay attention to him. Wait, what are you holding in your hand? Oh, you mean this? Ron shook the package in his hand. These are 2 bottles of whiskey that Mr. Smith gave me, original British goods. Why don't I have it? Anand's eyes widened. Ron laughed, but didn't answer him. I knew that old man didn't like me. He's biased. Okay, to celebrate this deal, let's go have a drink now. Hearing that there was wine to drink, Anand immediately followed. There was no place to sell cups at the train station, and he finally asked the dispatcher for a disposable cup, so he had to make do with it. Ron unscrewed the bottle and poured a little. He was about to take a sip himself. Suddenly, he saw Anand looking at it eagerly, and handed the cup to him to taste it first. Thank you so much, Ron. Anand was very moved, and his eyes were wide with joy. He took the cup and tilted his head back, poured some wine into his mouth, and the rim of the cup did not touch his lips at all. The reason for this is not because he pays attention to hygiene. It's because he knows that he is a Dalit, and Ron is a Brahmin. In India, Brahmins will never use things that Dalits have used. To be more extreme, Brahmins will not even step on the roads that Dalits have walked, or even their shadows. Brahmins who have the means will hire full-time Brahmin chefs. They will not eat food made by other low castes. Although Ron doesn't care much about these, Anand has never forgotten his identity. He has always kept a respect in his heart. Excellent. The finest Johnny Walker, so good. Anand squinted his eyes happily. Drink more if you like, just a little more, thank you. Anand raised his head and drank again, and the wine gurgled into his throat. He licked his lips, raised his head and continued to drink. Oh. Sorry, I'm so sorry, this whiskey is so delicious, I can't help it. If you like it, I'll give it to you. I have another bottle. Oh, thank you, Anand replied, but the smile on his face collapsed and turned into a sad expression. What's wrong? You don't want it? Yes, yes. Ron, I want it very much. But if I had known that this was my whiskey, not yours, I wouldn't have guzzled it so much. Ron couldn't help laughing. Drink as much as you want. I'll give you the remaining bottle. I don't drink much, really. Anand smiled again. I'm more interested in rupees than in alcohol. Ron handed over the remaining bottle. That's right, make money, then you can buy alcohol. Anand took the unopened bottle and put it in his arms like a treasure. Now that the fat sheep is gone, I should think carefully about what to do next. Actually, there's no need to rush. The money I made in the past few days is more than what I made last year. Anand used to be a rickshaw driver. If the situation was good, he could earn 500 rupees a month. But just for helping Smith exchange foreign currency twice, he took a commission of 3,500 rupees. Including the handicrafts on the first day, and the bicycles, taxis, and tips in the following days, Anand made more than 7,000 rupees from Smith alone. This made him feel like he was dreaming, and his head was heavy. Of course, he didn't think it was a side effect of whiskey. As for Ron, he took the biggest share of the guide service this time, and earned more. The commission on the first day alone was 4,600 rupees, including the guide fee and the 20-pound tip, a total of 5,520 rupees. Later, The foreign currency exchange commission was 7,700 rupees, and he and Anand agreed to split it at a ratio of 7:3. In addition to the guide fee and Smith's generous tips, he still had an additional income of more than 6,800 rupees. With all these, Ron's savings have exceeded 20,000 rupees. According to the standards of ordinary people, he certainly won't have to worry about food and drink in the short term. But this is not enough, far from enough. Anand, do you know how to set up a company in India? I don't know. Then do you know who to look for? I mean someone who can handle a lot of unnecessary troubles. Look, there's one here. Anand raised his chin towards the distance. Following his gaze, Ron saw a patrolman holding a wooden stick with an aggressive look. Chapter 10, The First Lesson of Being Tricked. The patrolman in the distance seemed to be in a bad mood. At this moment, he was staring at a foreign couple with a dark face. The couple had an argument with a hawker a few steps away. If nothing unexpected happened, the situation would escalate in a few minutes, and the patrolman would have to intervene. Don't Indian police rarely cause trouble for foreigners? Ron, who was watching the fun, couldn't help gossiping. After so many days in Mumbai, Ron now vaguely knows some unspoken rules. For example, Indian police treat locals as they please, whether to beat or scold them. I don't know how many heads they have hit with that 1-meter-long stick. It can be said that they have no scruples, but they basically don't take the initiative to find trouble with foreign tourists. Rajesh has encountered a bad thing recently. Anand showed a lewd smile on his face. What's the matter, Ron? You may not know that Rajesh is very powerful in this area. Some time ago, he locked up a ghost. But the ghost persuaded Rajesh to let him go because he told Rajesh that he had gold and jewelry. Not only that, he actually gave Rajesh some gold and jewelry after he was released. But those things were not real gold, but fake and very cheap. The funniest thing is that the ghost lived in Rajesh's house for a week before selling the fake jewelry. It is said that the ghost also slept with Rajesh's wife. Now Rajesh is mad. Everyone who sees him quickly runs away to avoid being shot. Does that mean Rajesh is now penniless? Haha, yes, so someone is going to be unlucky. Ron's eyes move back to the foreign couple. I don't know where they live. Who? Ron, are you talking about Rajesh's wife? Get lost. There was a low laugh around. Ron turned his head unprepared and saw that a circle of people had surrounded them without knowing when. The dark-skinned man, the skinny old man, and the naked boy all stared at them with laughter. Damn, Indians have no sense of boundaries. When did they gather here? Anand, what's going on? Ron was a little worried. He wondered if the melon would get eaten by him. Anand proved the reason why everyone gathered here with his actions. He put away the half-opened bottle of whiskey and stared back vigilantly. The people who were gathered nearby swallowed a few times and dispersed reluctantly. These drunkards have sharper noses than dogs. I should have had a celebratory drink here if I had known. Ron stood up and walked towards Rajesh. Wait, Ron, what are you going to do? While Anand was busy packing up, Ron had already seen the opportunity to stop Rajesh. The foreign couple didn't seem to be ready to compromise, and the vendor didn't give in. It was time for Rajesh to appear. But now there was an uninvited guest in front of him. Get out of the way. Don't hinder the police from doing their job. Is that Officer Rajesh? Ron switched to Marathi, which is the favorite language of the local police. Sure enough, Rajesh stopped and looked Ron up and down. What's your caste? Sure, okay. What do you want? Ron didn't say anything. He just raised his finger and pinched a 50-rupee note to pass it over. When the money touched Rajesh's palm, it disappeared without a trace. The skill was unique in the Mumbai police circle, and even the old street tricksters were inferior to him. Mr. Sir, is there anything I can help you with? The two over there are my French friends. There may be some misunderstandings between them and the locals because of language problems. I can handle it. Rajesh stared at him for a few seconds, then nodded. Okay, I can stay out of it for now. Thank you. Please wait for me for a while. Ron turned to the foreign couple and talked a lot. They were a little wary at first, but soon their faces were overjoyed, then they looked thoughtful, and finally nodded. No one could understand what the two sides said. It was neither English, Hindi or Marathi. After dealing with the foreign couple, Ron turned around and whispered a few words to the vendor, who reluctantly agreed. My dear friends, be careful about other people's kindness in India. Obviously, the other party will not give up if you don't pay a penny. I think both sides can accept 1/3 of the price. Thank you, Ron. Without you, we don't know what will happen next. God, we have practiced English. but we can't understand the English he speaks at all. Fortunately, you can speak French. The foreign wife Anna thanked Ron and counted out a few rupees to the nagging vendor. The dispute finally ended. The matter was simple. The couple came from France. English was not their strong point, and the vendor's curry-flavored English was just as bad. As soon as the two got off the train, they met the overly enthusiastic vendor. After chatting for a few words, he took out an exquisite bracelet in the name of blessing. Then, taking advantage of Anna's unpreparedness, he put the shackles on her wrists. It was easy to put them on, but it was hard to take them off. Take out the money, $500, no bargaining. You won't be allowed to leave if you don't pay, a very old trick. But it was only 1992, and people outside the Indian subcontinent were clear-headed and stupid. Fortunately, they met Ron, who not only reduced the selling price from US dollars to rupees, but also cut the price by 2/3. Less than 100 rupees, this amount of money was almost acceptable to both the scammers and the scammed. After settling this small dispute, Ron smiled and shook hands with him. You too, is this your first time in Mumbai? Have you found a place to stay? I can recommend some affordable and clean hotels for you. That's great. No, thank you. We have booked the hotel in advance. Just as Anna was about to agree, her husband Henry suddenly interrupted her. Ron glanced at them, then smiled indifferently. It's okay, you can contact me at any time if you need anything in Mumbai. He handed them a note with his phone number and left without any entanglement. Hey, Henry. Ron obviously has good intentions. He just helped us, and he can speak French. It is precisely because we have not forgotten the lesson just now that we have to be more careful. I suspect that he is in cahoots with that greedy vendor. He first gained our trust and then slowly defrauded us of our money. Henry, are you too sensitive? It's always right to be careful. Besides, don't forget our mission in Mumbai this time, which is to update the travel guide for Lonely Planet magazine. We have to go by ourselves and can't rely on others. Ron, who had already left, didn't care about this little thing. There were more important tasks ahead than attracting customers. Officer Rajesh, thank you for your patience. Rajesh, who had been watching the excitement on the side, shook his head left and right. Well, you handled it very well. He didn't wait here because of a sense of responsibility. He was just idle and wanted to take a few more glances at the towering breasts of the French woman. So do you have time to find a place to chat now? Ron gave Anand a look. The latter immediately followed. I know a great restaurant nearby. The food is so delicious that I guarantee you will be full to death. Rajesh looked up at the clock at the train station. It's noon in an hour. I think I can start my lunch break early. Of course. Ron smiled and let Anand lead the way. Chapter 11 Plotting Out Loud. The restaurant that Anand promised to serve delicious food is not far from Victoria Station. When Ron arrived at the door, he looked at the sign and felt a little confused. Why does the decoration of this restaurant look weird? You mean the upside-down M at the door? It's very popular now. Yes, also in foreign countries, but this is not McDonald's. Oh yes, McDonald's. It's great. Anand shook his head happily. It's just reversed, called Wow McDonald's, but it doesn't seem to sell fast food either. I don't see any plates. We don't use plates. No plates. Banana leaves. Anand walked in first and turned on the tap to wash his hands. Rajesh did the same, so Ron had to follow suit. It seems that all the people who come to this restaurant are locals, and judging by their clothes, they should have a good job. The three of them chose a seat by the window, and a waiter came to put the shiny green banana leaves and a glass of water. Don't get me wrong, this isn't for you to drink. Rajesh and Anand both picked up their cups and sprinkled some water on the leaves, then wiped them with their right hands, and that was it. Although Ron's memories were awakened, it was his first time to experience such a new experience. Mr. Sir, you can speak French. Did you learn it at the university? While waiting to order, Rajesh began to ask about Ron's background indirectly. My parents taught me. Oh, then what business do they do in Mumbai? They were originally teachers, but they died in a religious conflict this year. Rajesh was a little surprised and disappointed, but soon he angrily cursed damn Muslims. Lord Shiva will not forgive them. Anand put his palms together and prayed. This was the first time he heard Ron talk about his family, and the mysterious veil on the latter was finally lifted. I will take their ashes back to the holy river, but before that, I will do something in Mumbai. Rajesh pricked up his ears, and he knew that the theme of this lunch was about to be revealed. But before we could get into the topic, the waiter from before came back to serve the dishes. fried pancakes, grilled chicken, butter toast, sweet jelly, pickled mango, green peppers and onions, yogurt, and various masalas were distributed by the waiter on the wet leaves. Behind him was a person who was responsible for serving rice. He pressed a full spoonful of rice firmly and poured it on the leaves. The amount was frightening. This was not the end. He would break up half of the rice piled high on the leaves and then pour vegetable curry sauce on it. Ron wanted to tell the waiter to let him do it himself because he was not interested in curry. But they were too enthusiastic. Before he could open his mouth, the enthusiastic hand-pulled rice had already gone through the preparation process. At this time, no one had the heart to talk. Anand and the others first rubbed the food with 3 fingers of their right hand, then picked it up and put it in their mouths. It's delicious, the grilled chicken nuggets are good, and the crackers are good, both are good. Watching the 2 people feasting, Ron hesitated for a long time before making up his mind to stretch out his right hand. The sticky feeling was not good, and after kneading it for a long time, it still couldn't be rubbed together. On the other hand, Anand and Rajesh were very skilled, and never got any sticky food above the second joint. Ron tried for less than 2 minutes. And not only did the third joint become a mess, but there were also rice grains on the back of his hand. Finally, he had no choice but to ask the waiter to find a spoon. This was comfortable, and he started to eat the rice with a spoon. Rajesh and Anand looked at each other and saw the teasing smile in each other's eyes. Look, this master is more spoiled than those princes. If you are full when eating here, just close the folded banana leaves. Otherwise, the waiters between the tables will keep coming to add more rice if they find that there is less rice or curry somewhere. After the 3 of them finished their rice and finished their desserts such as toast and jelly, they slowly leaned back in their chairs with milk tea. Mr. Sir, you just said you have something to do in Mumbai? Yes, I'm going to start a company. Start a company? This answer was beyond Rajesh's expectations. Ron looked like a college student, which was not related to starting a company. I've been thinking about it for a long time. This is not a whim. What are you going to do with your company? Tourism Information Company. Tourism information, simply put, it is to provide tourists who come to Mumbai with the services they need, such as being a guide, calling a taxi, and finding a hotel. Rajesh wanted to laugh, but after seeing the red line on Ron's wrist, he swallowed back the sarcastic words he was about to say. This is not a good idea. Why? Because every airport and train station in Mumbai has hundreds of people doing the same business. They are all your competitors, including the guy sitting next to you, Anand, who was caught in the crossfire for no reason, blinked and continued to play dumb. It's different. They are all one person, at most a few of them are in collusion, but I want to open a company. If they take your business, you can't open a company. Rajesh didn't understand. This is a truth that everyone understands. A company is an organization, and an individual is always an individual. Ron took a sip of milk tea and his eyes sparkled. My goal is to make the best of those people become my employees. Rajesh shrugged and let him do whatever he wants. So, they all say that you are very powerful in this area. I want to set up this company quickly. That will cost some money. You know, Indian officials will only work after they are paid. Rajesh's voice was so loud that Ron suspected that everyone in the restaurant could hear it. Is it really good to conspire so loudly? Well, I'm prepared. I just don't know who to find now. There are too many public departments in Mumbai, and some of the jurisdictions overlap. Then you found the right person. No one knows Mumbai better than me. When it came to discussing business, Rajesh changed his pessimistic attitude just now. His complacent look, as if this business could not be done without him. Okay, let's go to another place to continue the discussion. Ron called the waiter to pay the bill. The 3 of them spent a total of 70 rupees. The total amount was less than $5, but it was already a high consumption in India. Just look at Rajesh's round belly and you will know that as a patrolman, he can't often go to such places to fight for wealth. Several people came outside. The so-called change of place was just to find a corner with no one. Give the police a benefit, just on the street, anyway, no one cares. In the end, the 2 sides bargained. And Ron bought his first connection for 500 rupees. Rajesh promised him that he would introduce him to an official from the Mumbai Industrial and Commercial Department in 2 days. As for whether the next thing can be negotiated, it has nothing to do with him. Ron, no problem, you will definitely be able to open a company. Anand shook his head at him, full of confidence. Why? Because you are a Brahmin. Brahmins and officials are in the same boat. Ron was a little amused and he didn't know whether this was irony or comfort. Of course, he was more convinced that this was a comfort, but Anand's train of thought was a little too strange. By the way, why are you so sure that I am a Brahmin, judging only by my last name? But do you remember the taxi that day? He didn't even ask my name. Ron, you tell others all the time that you are a Brahmin, huh? Look at your feet, those are camel skin tanned boots. Most ordinary people are barefoot or in sandals. And the burning thread on your wrist, it is red cotton. Ron raised his hand and took a look. He had this thing on the first day he woke up. Perhaps because he was used to it, he never cared about it. The red sacred thread can only be worn by Brahmins. Wearing the wrong color or wearing it recklessly will have serious consequences. Anand's two thick black arms were bare. He had never even entered the temple because Dalits were not allowed. Well, being an Indian is too troublesome. On this side, Ron took the first step into his career, and on the other side, Henry and his wife from France were about to usher in their second pawn. Chapter 12 Gang is different. After leaving Victoria railway station, the heat wave and scorching sun made Henry and his wife subconsciously raise their hands to cover their eyes. God, Mumbai is hotter than I thought. We have to hurry to the hotel we booked. The humid and stuffy heat made Anna very uncomfortable. She urgently needed to take a hot bath and give her sticky skin a spa. According to the map, the hotel is about 5 kilometers away from here. Then let's go quickly. I can't wait. The two of them pulled their luggage and prepared to take a taxi, but just after leaving the train station, a large group of people surrounded them. They didn't care whether Henry and Anna were willing or not, and they started to pull their luggage with all their hands and feet. The two kept refusing and tried their best to get rid of their entanglement. But there were too many people, and a slowly moving human wall formed around them. Some were taxi drivers soliciting passengers, and some were holding a handful of rupees to exchange foreign currency with them. Without exception, they all spoke poor English, which was like listening to a foreign language to Henry and his wife from France. Finally, someone spoke coherent English, but it was a hotel agent. No, we don't need it, thank you. Henry pulled Anna out of the crowd with difficulty. He knew that places like train stations are always full of people, with the most scammers and thieves. Before coming, they had read the Guide of Lonely Planet. When encountering such a situation, they just had to pretend to be zombies and keep going. However, the two underestimated the determination of the three brothers to kill the fat sheep. Even if they walked a few hundred meters away, there were always a few people following behind them. Monday. Dole, rupees, 119, they understood this sentence. It was the vendor exchanging foreign currency. This seems to be a little higher than the official exchange rate. I heard from other backpackers that this kind of private exchange is more cost-effective than the official one. Then let's exchange some. Under the temptation of the high exchange rate, Henry and his friends exchanged 2,000 rupees in change from a dark-skinned third brother. Counting the banknotes, based on past experience, this transaction saved them about $6. The extra money, I think, is just enough for us to take a taxi to the hotel. Good idea. They did it right away. They hailed a yellow-roofed, black-rimmed taxi and began to bargain with the driver. How much does it cost to the Kajra Hotel? 200 rupees, 40, okay. The driver waved his hand to signal them to get in the car. After putting away their luggage, Henry and Anna had just sat in the back seat when a man suddenly appeared from nowhere and swaggered into the passenger seat. Who is he? Henry asked worriedly. My brother, he's going back to the city. Henry didn't know whether the story was true or not, and the driver didn't give them time to think. He stepped on the accelerator and the taxi sped away. On the crowded streets of Mumbai, drivers honk their horns most of the time. If pedestrians or cows suddenly appear in front of them, he will not brake, but honk the horn even more fiercely. In their words, if you brake and wait for them to pass, you won't be able to get to the hotel before dark. The driver's brother sitting in the front seat was always actively trying to find something to say. Which hotel are you going to? Kajra? Oh. That hotel has burned down. When did it happen? Henry was shocked. A long time ago, it seems to be last year. I know a hotel that is better than that one. Do you want me to take you there? Henry and Anna looked at each other and shook their heads cautiously. No, we are going to go to the original hotel first. The car was quiet for a while. But when they were about to arrive at a place, the driver confirmed with an ambiguous expression. The price we just said is 200 rupees, right? No, 40 rupees. Henry took out a note with a price written on it and handed it over. He was well prepared. Countless predecessors who were deceived told him, after negotiating the price with the Indian driver, you must write it down on paper so that they will not default on the debt. Sure enough, the driver stopped talking, and his brother did not get involved. When the taxi stopped at the place, Henry looked up. Wasn't the hotel there? Humph. Cunning Indian. At this time, the driver in front had turned his head and he stretched out his hand. Give me the money, 80 rupees, but we just agreed on 40 rupees. Henry angrily took out the paper again. Yes, 40 rupees per person, 80 rupees for 2 people. What the fuck, eh? Henry was not ready to compromise. He wanted to reason with this untrustworthy driver. But Anna beside him stopped him. Honey, let's get off the car quickly. Henry glanced and saw that Anna's face was not right. Looking more closely, the brother of the driver in the front seat was staring at them viciously. For a moment, Henry suspected that if they did not agree to this price, the 2 people in front would suddenly attack. The result was naturally to pay the money obediently. In a foreign country, Henry did not dare to mess around. After getting off the car, the 2 people pulling the luggage were a little dejected. Obviously, they had already made a strategy, traveled to many other countries, and were even well-known travel journalists. But on the first day of arriving in Mumbai, from the train station to the hotel, they were cheated twice in a short 5 kilometers. It's outrageous. Where are the peaceful Indians? At least we arrived at the hotel safely, Henry shrugged optimistically, then took Anna to the front desk to register. However, their trip was destined not to be so smooth. The hotel receptionist told them a bad news. The room you booked has been moved. What? We didn't receive any notice. I don't know, but it's written on the registration form. I want to find your manager. He's not working today. God, tell me you have other plans. Click. The receptionist put the information she had prepared long ago in front of them. Now you can be transferred to another luxury suite, but you need to pay the difference of 1,000 rupees. The veins on Henry's forehead were popping out. The room they originally booked was 1,000 rupees, and now it has doubled. He was very angry, but seeing Anna who was exhausted beside him, he finally gritted his teeth and paid. Sorry, sir, we don't accept this rupee. Why? Because it's not real. Henry's face turned pale, and he had a bad premonition. He hurriedly took out all the money he had just changed, and then tentatively handed over another 500 rupee note. The receptionist still shook her head expressionlessly. Henry was desperate. Shit. They were cheated. Of the 2,000 rupees just changed, 1,000 were counterfeit. I knew it. Henry was still brooding over this matter until he entered the room. The only consolation was that they could finally take a hot shower. However, this room was still a little imperfect. It was equipped with one less pair of slippers, the types of towels in the bathroom were not complete, and there was a set of cups, toothbrushes and toothpaste each missing. Forget it. What do you want? The 2 people who were exhausted physically and mentally were too lazy to care about these. After taking a shower, they went out to eat something casually in the afternoon and prepared to sleep first. But there were too many mosquitoes in the middle of the night. After being bitten by countless bugs, Henry finally decided to go to the front desk for help. There are many ways to repel mosquitoes. Hotels have incense and insecticides, but they have to pay extra. Finally, after paying 100 rupees for various fees, Henry finally got a plate of moldy incense. Damn it, we'll move out tomorrow. Everyone in this hotel is a liar, Anna agreed deeply, and then early the next morning, they packed their things and prepared to check out. However, before leaving, the front desk said that they had to check the items in the room first. So the missing slippers, towels, cups, etc. were all charged to them. You are blackmailing. These things were not available when we checked in, then why didn't you say it? The hotel assumes that everything in each room is fully equipped before use. Oh, and there is also a TV. We just checked that the TV in your room was broken, so an additional 20,000 rupees of repair fees are required. Henry, Anna, TT. Henry and his friends finally completed the checkout, at the cost of 23,000 rupees being swept away. When they dragged their luggage away, there was no light in their eyes. Damn, India is a poisonous country. Honey, we have to change our plan. We need a reliable guide, but I think the people in this country are unreliable. It's a country of scammers. No, there's one more. Anna and Henry looked at each other and thought of someone. Chapter 13 Corruption is a system. Mumbai's Business Administration Department is located near the fort area. The office it uses is an old house left over from the colonial period. The buildings in this area are all in this Gothic style. After the British left, the Indian government took it over and used it. But that's just this area. If you walk 2 blocks away, you will see slums like pus, pressing the pace of modern civilization. This is everywhere in the city, and its expansion is unplanned. Rajesh and Anand, who live here, have long been accustomed to the chaos of Mumbai. Ron, the operating rules of the Indian government are very different from those of other countries. How is it different? Here, no matter what your caste is, or which state in India you come from, your experience of dealing with them is often a process of doing business with key people rather than dealing with important institutions. When saying this, Rajesh's eyes flashed with some wisdom. This is a truth he has realized after so many years as a patrolman, and it is also a truth understood by his colleagues. So the person I want to meet today is a key person. Yes, all the companies in Mumbai were stamped here when they were first established. The person who holds the stamp is the key to the transaction. Rajesh seemed to be a frequent visitor here. Under his leadership, Ron drove straight in without anyone even asking a question. After passing through a corridor and turning right at the end, they stopped in front of the door of an office. I have already greeted Chief Kumar. After entering, get straight to the point and don't waste time. Of course, the most important thing is what to do, you understand. Ron nodded. I have made sufficient preparations. He will be satisfied. Okay, let's go in. After knocking on the door and getting a positive answer, Rajesh took Ron into the office. Chief Kumar, this Mr. Sir wants to open a travel information company. I mentioned it to you on the phone. Got it, Rajesh, you go first. Kumar behind the desk was busy signing documents. He did not look up the whole time, only the pen in his hand was rustling. Rajesh winked at Ron and quietly retreated. The room was very quiet. Ron looked around. This place was a bit too simple. In addition to the desk under the window, the sofa in front of him was the only large piece of furniture. He didn't wait too long. Kumar, whose hair and beard were a little gray, put down his pen and picked up the black tea on the table. What kind of company did Rajesh just say you were going to open? A travel information company? Well, I need to confirm whether the quota for licenses is full. Hearing this, Ron seemed to have received some signal. He strode forward and took out a paper bag from his arms. Chief Kumar, it takes too much time to check the license. I think we can be quick. Squeezing the thickness of the paper bag, Kumar's face immediately showed a look of sudden enlightenment. Oh, I remember, the travel company's license is not a problem. Yes, that's right. Nonsense. Ron rolled his eyes secretly in his heart. As early as last year, India abolished the industry license system. The so-called industry license means that any private person who wants to do this business must obtain the corresponding approval certificate. From oil and steel to rickshaw pullers and small vendors, all walks of life need a license. Without a license, it is a legal operation. Before 1991, India had been implementing this economic policy. But as mentioned before, the economic crisis last year forced the authorities to change and relax economic control. This is an Indian version of it should be opened, and since then, the license system has been officially abolished. Now Kumar is deliberately pretending to be confused, and the meaning is obvious. After a copy of the package was sent out, the other party's business level has been raised to a higher level. Did you bring the company registration form? Of course. Ron took out a document from his briefcase. Rajesh had already handled the necessary procedures for him before. After all, the 500 rupees were not spent in vain. Kumar looked up at the registered company name and frowned. This name won't work. Why? Bombay Tourism Information Company. It's too official, and it's too similar to the Mumbai Tourism Administration. Really? Ron gave him a suggestive look. No. Kumar shook his fat head from side to side. Well, judging from the amplitude and angle of his head shaking, it should be really no good this time. Then I'll change the name. Ron took out another form from his bag like a magic trick. Except for the name, the other contents of this form are the same as the previous one. Kumar was amazed at his thorough preparation. So, you are a smart man. Ron smiled slightly. Nonsense. If I have to make another trip, I guess I will have to prepare another one. Picking up the form, Kumar glanced at the company's registered name again. Mumbai Tourism Information Company? He didn't expect it. I'm back again. Bombay versus Mumbai. Both are called Mumbai. The former is the official name of India, mainly following the name with English. The latter is the name of Mumbai in the Marathi dialect, mainly used among the people. It was not until after 1995 that the official name was changed to the common name of later generations, Mumbai. Now, the former is the official name, and the latter is a wild name. Ron plans to reverse it in a few years. Staring at the name on the paper, Kumar felt uncomfortable no matter how he looked at it. But he couldn't deny anything. After all, it was not against the rules. I have accepted these materials, and I will notify you after the approval. Kumar was a little unsure, so he planned to delay it for now. After all, those who understand India's efficiency will understand. Sir, my company is in urgent need of opening. For it, I borrowed a lot of money. Ron took out another paper bag. Kumar touched it with his hand. Wow, this one is thicker. He shook his head, thought for a while, and picked up the seal on the table. Click, click, click. Without waiting for Ron to react, 3 different seals were stamped. Take it, your company can open now. Who said India is inefficient? Ron used rupees as collateral. These are all rumors. He didn't know how long it took for ordinary people to go through the procedures of the Indian government departments to open a company. His record was 20 minutes. Of course, the 10,000 rupees he sent out played a very important role in this. When he left the office, Rajesh was waiting there. Did you get it done? Very smoothly. Look, this is what I call the key person. Ron smiled. Today he understood another truth. In India, corruption itself is a system. After treating Rajesh to another meal as a thank you, Ron returned to the apartment. He was not in a hurry to take on work these 2 days. In addition to finding a key person to open a company, the preparations ahead also take time. When he opened the door, the fair, tender and cute Nia was rolling up her sleeves to clean the house. Baba, you came back very early today, because I want to eat the masala made by Nia. Ron, in a good mood, reached out and pinched her little nose. With just this simple action, Nia's face turned red like rose-colored spices. Her emerald eyes turned, half charming and half coquettish. Master, do you know that such intimate actions are rare between Indian couples? By the way, Nia, is there anyone looking for me today? Oh, Baba, I almost forgot that there is a foreigner looking for you. Foreigner? She seems to be from France. My English is not good, so I only remembered her name is Anna. She said she would call again. Ron was stunned. The only French people he knew were the couple he met at Victoria Station before. Chapter 14 Mumbai Travel Information Company. Anna and her friends contacted Ron in the afternoon, and the two sides agreed to meet near the Gate of India. This is one of the landmark buildings in Mumbai. It was built to welcome King George V and his queen. Well, yes, the Gate of India was built by the British. Not only that, most of the famous buildings in Mumbai were built by the British. For example, Victoria Railway Station, Bombay High Court, Mount Mary Church, Rajabhay Clock Tower, etc. To put it bluntly, India has benefited a lot from the British now, and they don't hate that colonial history as much as imagined. Even English has become one of the official languages, and a very small number of elites still regard it as their mother tongue. For these reasons, Mumbai has also become a popular tourist destination in the Western world. When it comes to the Gate of India Street, almost all backpackers know it, and the locals are even more so. Most of the time of the day, there are people coming and going here, and there is a lot of traffic. The voices of people, the sound of car horns, and the sound of buying and selling are like heavy rain hitting wooden or iron roofs. The whole road was lined with shops, restaurants, and hotels. There were Africans, Europeans, Arabs, and Indians in the crowds. Every step you took, you heard a different language and music. Each restaurant had a different aroma in the boiling air. When Ron and Anand found Henry and his wife, they were holding their sun hats and fanning themselves in the shade of the trees. Do you like Mumbai? Oh, God, I need to think about this question carefully. The two sides shook hands and hugged enthusiastically, mainly because the two Frenchmen were too proactive. Seeing Ron was like seeing their savior. It's not convenient to talk on the phone. Now tell me about your experiences in the past 2 days. I swore just 2 days ago, I was full of longing for this place, but now I hesitate. Don't worry, I think we can sit down and talk slowly. Ron took them to an open-air beverage stall and took a few bottles of soda from the stall owner's wooden cart. After a few sips of the drinks, Anna and Henry also opened up their conversation. From the time they parted at the train station to the time they met again today, I can sum it up in one sentence. They have been fooled all the time, and it was different. I once suspected that some large fraud gang had carefully arranged a play, and then we bumped into it without a script. Henry's self-deprecation made Ron laugh. Your experience in just 2 days is enough for me to write an anti-fraud manual. Hey, this idea is not polite. Sorry, I just think such an experience is precious, and I really don't mean to ridicule you. To express his apology, Ron bought 2 fruit salads from another small vendor. Maybe it was because he saw the only acquaintance, or maybe it was because he felt happy after pouring out his grievances. Anna and Henry ate the fruit salads in their hands with relish. They were almost suffocated in the past 2 days. Ron understood them. He also felt suffocated by the environment in Mumbai at the beginning. Look at the street in front of you, it is a mixed bag. There are beggars, jugglers, snake charmers, musicians, astrologers, pimps, smugglers. It is dirty, and garbage falls from the upper windows at any time. The sidewalks and roadsides are also full of garbage, and fat rats that are not afraid of people are rustling in the garbage, oblivious to the people around them. But at the same time, it is also full of vitality, with vendors on the street rushing to deliver watermelons, bags of rice, soda, cigarettes and ice cubes to the owners. Money is flowing everywhere, and there are people on the street holding thick stacks of banknotes, counting and exchanging money. Ron didn't tell Anna and the others that this is actually a very famous black market in Mumbai. Tourists are just watching the excitement, but people like him see business opportunities. Okay, tell me, what kind of help do you need now? Henry wiped his mouth and said quickly, we want to hire you as a guide, and then visit the most worthwhile places. My price is not cheap, of course. I can also guarantee that things like the last 2 days will not happen to you again. Anna and Henry were very convinced of this point. After all, Ron helped them once on the first day at the Mumbai railway station. After the two looked at each other, they became more determined in their thoughts. In addition to being a guide, we also want to ask you for our food, clothing, housing and transportation during this period in Mumbai. Oh, Ron sat up straight. This is a big order. If I understand correctly, you mean which hotel to stay in, which restaurant to go to, and which transportation to take next, all of which will be arranged by me. Yes, we believe you, Anna nodded. Great, Ron cheered in his heart. It is true that being a guide is paid, but taking a commission is a huge profit. Thank you for your trust. I will provide you with the lowest price in my career. Thank you. Anna and Henry also smiled. See, package service is not without benefits. In order to safeguard the interests of both parties and to make everything more compliant, I think we should sign a contract. Contract? Anna and the others were stunned. It was the first time they heard that hiring a tour guide required signing a contract. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. Ron stood up and handed them a business card. Let me introduce myself again. I am Ron, sir, the chief guide of Mumbai Tourism Information Company. Ahem, the business card is a bit simple. It was just spit out of the printer an hour ago. This is something Ron made on the way here. If you are dissatisfied with this service in the next trip, you can call the number on the business card at any time and complain directly to the CEO. Who is the CEO of Mumbai Tourism Information Company? Sorry, it's still him, Ron. In the other pocket of his pants, there is a business card with the title of CEO. Don't worry, this contract mainly restricts the client. For example, you can't ask for tips at will, and you can't damage the interests of the client. It sounds good. The scammers they met 2 days ago would not go through these procedures with him. We have no objection to the contract guarantee, but now there is another problem that needs to be solved. Please go ahead. We have no money. What? Oh no, I mean we have no rupees, but we have US dollars. Ron wanted to ask, there are money-changing vendors all over the street, why don't you go to them? But thinking of the experience of the past 2 days, Anna and Henry are probably afraid. Can you ask, when you exchanged money before, what was the rate others gave you? About 5% higher than the official exchange rate, but this is a scam. I can give you 15%. What? This time it was Anna and the others' turn to be shocked. Which was 10 points higher than before. But after thinking about it, Anna still tactfully said that they wanted to go to the bank to exchange money. Once bitten by a snake, you will be afraid of the rope for 10 years. Ron smiled slightly, stood up and tilted his head. Come with me. He also wanted to do the foreign exchange black market business. This was one of the pillar businesses of the Mumbai Tourism Information Company in the future. They wanted to go to the bank to exchange. Okay. Ron satisfied them. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15, Outlaws. Anna and her friends were worried that they would encounter counterfeit money again if they exchanged money privately. After all, they were not Indians and could not tell the difference between real and fake rupees. So they decided to go to the bank to exchange money this time, thinking that they would rather exchange less but be safe. Ron understood this idea and he did take them to a nearby bank. How many dollars do you want to exchange? $300. I think this can help us cope for a while, Anna reported a conservative number. After a series of scams, the two were now very cautious. Okay, according to the official exchange rate, $300 can be exchanged for 5,400 rupees. Now give me the money. At Ron's signal, Henry hesitantly took out $300. After receiving the money, Ron did not go to the bank counter. He also took out his wallet and counted a few large rupees from it. Look, this is 5,400 rupees. But I increased it to 6,210 rupees according to the 15% point, Ron said as he walked to the service window with the money. In front of Henry and his wife, he put the $300 into his pocket. Then he handed the 6,000 rupees in his other hand to the bank clerk behind the explosion-proof window. Miss, please help me change this money into small 100 rupees. The bank clerk took the money and ran it through the money detector. After it was okay, he counted a stack of 100 rupee notes. The whole process took less than 5 minutes, and Ron took the exchanged money and walked in front of Anna and the others who were stunned. Look, I told you it's okay. Facing his bright smile, the French couple felt both amused and embarrassed. Ron, it's not that we don't believe you. Relax, I understand you. The reason why Ron went to so much trouble to pass the money through the bank was to tell them two facts. His money was okay, and he could indeed exchange it for them at a rate 15% higher than the official exchange rate. It was 800 rupees more, and no one could refuse such a difference. If you trust me, you can come to me directly for money exchange. If it's over $500, I'll give you 20 points more. Wow, Henry and Anna opened their mouths slightly. They had never heard of such a crazy exchange rate. Nothing to be surprised about. Everyone in this country, including Delhi, is short of dollars. Ron said that this was just a small scene. The scale of the foreign exchange black market was larger than the Indian government imagined. The money from the gangs needed to be laundered, trading companies needed dollars to trade, and the rich also needed dollars to buy international luxury goods. With the depletion of the Indian government's foreign exchange reserves, the black market exchange rate has of course been rising. Okay, dear French friends, how can I help you now? Although the contract has not been signed yet, Ron has already entered the role in advance. We have been hungry for a long time. Let's find a place to eat first, and then find a real clean and cheap hotel. As for tomorrow's itinerary, we will discuss it in the evening, no problem, but before we go to eat, I have a small suggestion. Ron, just say it, Ms. Anna. In order to avoid unnecessary misunderstandings, I suggest you put on a veil. Anna looked down at herself in confusion. The bare-shoulder tank top just showed off her proud figure and sexy belly. No problem, French women are always so romantic and confident. Take another look around. Anna glanced around and instantly felt like a thorn in her back, a fishbone stuck in her throat, and sitting on pins and needles. There were countless pairs of Indian men's eyes on the street, staring at her without blinking. One of them was a guy in a striped shirt. His eyes almost fell out of her. God! Why are the police standing with him? Anna finally felt something was wrong. Henry seemed to have thought of some terrible rumors at this time. He looked around nervously, afraid that people around him would suddenly rush over. Ron made a calm gesture to them, then walked across the street and bought a scarf for 20 rupees. Put it on. Anna did it obediently. When her exposed skin was wrapped, the eyes of the three brothers around her instantly cleared up. Okay, now it's time to find a place to eat. Ron's calm smile gave Henry and his wife great comfort. They knew that they finally found the right person this time, and Mumbai was not all bad. Anand led the way. The two international friends are hungry. Yes, sir, Anand answered in broken English. He has been practicing oral English under Ron's guidance recently. Now that he has the topic, his fat mouth can't be closed once it opens. My two friends from France, you are happy people. Happy people always have a good appetite. The restaurant is just ahead, just a little further. I will take you to the best restaurant with the best mab and cuisine. I guarantee you will say it is delicious. All tour guides like me in Mumbai eat there. This place is very good. You only need to pay half of the usual bribe to the police. It is really good. Well, there is no need to introduce this, Ram reminded him softly. But Henry and his wife laughed out loud. They suddenly felt that in addition to scammers, there were some very lovely people in Mumbai. Anna and Henry were the first customers received by the Mumbai Tourism Information Company. After arranging the hotel for them in the afternoon, Ron and Anand found a milk tea shop to discuss future matters. Ron, I don't quite understand what you said. How does this company do it? It's very simple, just like what we did today, providing one-stop service for tourists. Whatever they need, we provide, no taboos. They do all these things, such as being a guide, finding a driver, choosing a hotel, and booking a restaurant. Their income mainly comes from the service fees paid by tourists. However, a small service fee alone was not enough to impress Ron. They would also negotiate with hotels and restaurants for commissions. This is what most guides do. Why do we need to set up a company? Anand was puzzled. There are many people in this industry in Mumbai, and the competition is fierce, but almost everyone is fighting alone. This is not acceptable, especially with a mentality of slaughtering fat sheep. It is difficult to make this industry bigger and stronger. The purpose of setting up a company is to accumulate scale advantages. With scale, we can negotiate more commissions. Ron first asked Anand to tell him the inside stories of the industry he knew, such as which hotel is reliable, which restaurant is delicious, and which market has a good reputation. He wrote down all these details, and then focused on selecting partners. The two chatted until late while drinking milk tea and eating snacks. In the next period of time, we will talk to each of the companies on the list. Competition in the restaurant and hotel industry is also fierce. If there is a stable source of customers, they will not be stingy with a small commission. Then how can we have a steady stream of fat sheep? This is another matter, and it is also the second key problem we need to solve. Publicity. Publicity. Any business cannot do without publicity, but we will talk about this topic later. Now tell me what other grey transactions can be done with these tourists. It is not impossible to do the tourism business in a lawful manner, but Ron thinks that the money is too slow. Since ancient times, grey transactions have always been highly profitable, and it is the sweetest part of a piece of sugar cane. The foreign exchange black market is one of them. Of course it is not all of the grey. There are many more. Many more. Otherwise, why would Ron start a company? In India, he doesn't mind being an outlaw. Chapter 16, Exploding Gold Coins. Ron only found out that Henry and Anna were travel journalists after serving them for 2 days. Most ordinary tourists who come to Mumbai don't change their accommodation frequently, and they will stick to 1 or 2 flavors in terms of food. But Anna and her friends are different. They have tried all the hotels in Mumbai, from youth hostels that cost 100 rupees to suites that cost 3,000 rupees a night. Not to mention the food, they have been frequently seen in restaurants of different sizes over the past 2 days. If they were put in a few decades later, they would be travel bloggers. After asking around, Ron found out that they came to Mumbai for a mission in addition to traveling. So you will record everything you see and hear in Mumbai? Yes, Lonely Planet magazine has an article for us. You know, those backpackers who travel around the world almost regard this magazine as the Bible. And our mission is to visit the site and then select the most suitable restaurants, hotels, and tourist attractions. Ron's eyes lit up. He smelled an opportunity. So, lovely and respected friends from France, are you satisfied with the service you provided over the past 2 days? Of course, it is no exaggeration to say that you have saved the image of Mumbai in our hearts, so Mumbai Tourism Information Company deserves a mention, isn't it? Haha, Ron, I promise that your name will be on the commissioned article sent to Lonely Planet. Look, isn't this free publicity? Anand, our employer is so considerate, shouldn't we treat them to a drink? What do you want to say, Ron? Anand looked at him warily. Where is the whiskey I gave you last time? No, have you finished it? Ron remembered that there were 2 bottles. It was sold. Don't you want to drink it very much? Why sell it? Oh, yes, Anand sighed. I want to drink it, and I have already drunk it in my heart. But the money from selling it to the black market can buy 2 bottles of very low quality but very cheap Indian whiskey, and drink it to my heart's content. Then there will be a lot of money left, which can be used to buy a nice new sari for my wife, a red one. And toys for the children, a few Indian movie tickets with air conditioning, and 2 days of food. It's a good deal, Ron. Okay, he almost forgot that Anand still has 8 or 9 children to support. Fortunately, the two spoke in Marathi, which Anna and Henry could not understand. At this moment, they were holding the camera and taking pictures on the street. The white cow lying on the road calmly, the check-in office that looked after the luggage for the guests, and the freshly brewed milk tea on the roadside, the two of them were curious about everything. Henry, there is something I want to discuss with you. What? Henry raised his head holding the camera. Can you help me develop an extra copy of the photos taken in the hotel and restaurant? I'll pay for the film, as long as you don't publish them in other magazines. I think that's fine. That's great. Ron succeeded in getting the wool again, and now he has all the pictures for promotion. Oh, it would be great if there were more guests like this in the future. The hotel is more expensive every night, and the food is also varied. Ron is not afraid of their demands, but he is afraid that they don't spend money. He only gets commission if they spend as much as they can. For example, the two people in front of him, they exchanged $300 before. And they spent it all in half a day. Ron, the middleman, has provided them with foreign exchange services for the 3rd time. There are many people on the streets of Mumbai. But there are also animals living and shuttling among them, not only in large numbers, but also in many kinds. In the crowd, goats wander around, dogs are kicked when they fail to steal food from roadside stalls, chickens crawl under the wheels of rickshaws, and monkeys jump down from the roof unexpectedly. When Ron was running around the streets these days, he was tripped by a pig walking around. Or he was blocked by a slow-moving old cow in an alley, and there was an elephant behind him urging him. The whole city is a mess, and it can still be called the New York of Asia. Brother San is too shameless. For example, the hotel profiteer we just met. The fat guy promised to take a 15% commission on consumption, but when Ron and Anand went to collect the bill, he changed it to commission on accommodation fees. Anna and her friends spent a total of 1,600 rupees in this hotel, of which the room fee was only about 500. Because of his cheating, the commission was reduced from 240 to 75, which was several times smaller. The local profiteer is so rude. Ron never thought that this store would even cheat its own people. Sorry Ron, I didn't know it would be like this. It was fine last time, forget it, I'll put this restaurant on my blacklist in the future. That fat guy will come back to beg me one day. Anna and her friends stayed in Mumbai for a week and just left by train this morning. Although India is backward, the railway network is still quite dense, and ordinary people and tourists mostly rely on trains to travel. Now that the employer is gone, Ron sorted out the bills and started collecting them everywhere. As the first business of the Mumbai Tourism Information Company, their gains are actually quite good. The guide service fee for a week is 3,000 rupees, and the hotel and restaurant take a commission of about 12,000 rupees. According to the industry rules here in Mumbai, as middlemen, their commission rate usually fluctuates between 10% and 25%. This is the case with the hotel and catering industry. Their costs are actually very low. The only weakness, or risk, is that there is no stable source of customers. After all, a hotel can be used for decades after it is built, and the maintenance cost and labor cost are spread out, which is not worth mentioning in India. The same is true for the ingredients in the catering industry. As long as the business is good, it is a huge profit. In order not to leave their rooms empty, the hotel side is usually willing to cooperate with Ron and his friends. Larger hotels are famous and do not lack customers, so the commission is not high, only about 10%. On the contrary, small hotels face competitive pressure and can give Ron and his team a 20% rebate. These individual operators have average risk tolerance and are much more willing to cooperate than those medium and large hotels. As long as there are customers, there is money to be made, which is better than having empty rooms every day. 15,000 rupees, this is the profit brought by Ron and his team's first order. Well, the above is the legal part. The not so bright part is the income from the foreign exchange black market. Anna and her team are also responsible for exploring the store. They have been eating and drinking in Mumbai for a week and enjoying various services. Ron exchanged $2,000 or $3,000 for their expenses, otherwise how could he get so much commission? Anand, who followed the lead, was trembling with excitement on his round face. Ron, we've made money, should we go find some excitement? What excitement, the horse street, and there's a reserved program. Wait, why don't I understand what you're saying? You know, Ron, we're all Indian men, we grew up eating curry, and we have a lot of needs in that area. Ron rolled his eyes. Indeed, no one can match the third brother in this regard. I have to cash out the last batch of US dollars today, so I don't have time. He didn't have the energy to do these things now, and with Zionia around him every day, Ron's taste was very picky. But he had to think carefully about the operation of the company in the future. Smith and Anna were both unexpected customers. They were all super fat sheep, but such good things don't happen often. Ordinary tourists are the cornerstone of the development of Mumbai Tourism Information Company. Well, the next step of promotion should be put on the agenda. Thinking of this, he had unknowingly arrived at the old place. It was still the 3-story building near Kalaba, and Ron was already a regular customer here. He was about to walk to the counter when suddenly a messy sound of footsteps and shouting came from downstairs. After a series of ding-dong noises, several people came hurriedly over, supporting a wounded man. Johnny. Ron was surprised to find that the wounded man was an acquaintance of his. Chapter 17 Forced to work. Ron, Johnny, who looked pale, forced a smile. He looked bad, with one arm hanging hastily by a torn t-shirt. Blood was flowing out, drop after drop, silently dripping on the carpet. You don't look good, you should go to the hospital. Ron knew he was losing blood quickly with just a glance. No, you can't go to the hospital. A man next to him waved his arms, strongly opposing the proposal. Sir, I know a little about medicine. He really doesn't look good, Mr. Sir, are you a doctor? Just then, a full-bodied voice came from the corridor. Prak. Hadhan, the black market boss of foreign exchange that Ron had only met once. Although he was in a hurry, he was not panicked at all. He must have just received the news and rushed over immediately. Are you a doctor, Prak? Hadhan repeated after glancing at Johnny. I'm not a doctor, but I've received emergency rescue training. Johnny's current condition looks like he has lost too much blood. He will soon go into shock. Ron had received such training in his previous life, and Johnny was someone he often met here. He didn't want anything to happen to his friend. Then you're a doctor now. Go get the first aid kit, Prak. Hadhan concluded, and turned around to tell the people around him. Without giving Ron time to explain, an oversized first aid kit was quickly handed over by everyone. They gathered in a circle and stared at Ron closely. Their eyes seemed to say, Doctor, save him quickly. Ron, who was forced to do something, could only bite the bullet and go forward to check Johnny's wound. Uncovering the tattered t-shirt, Ron took a breath. The wound is very serious, Mr. Hadhan. It was a long and deep cut, from the shoulder almost to the elbow tip, and a large triangle of leather that looked like a coat lapel was turning out from the wound. He needs to see a real doctor and get stitches. You should have brought him here. Hospital? No. Ron, Johnny cried. He can't go to the hospital, at least not today. There was an unquestionable look in Prak Hadhan's eyes. The sound of police car sirens came from outside the window. The iron door of the corridor on the 3rd floor had been sealed, and the whole room was dead silent. Ron's forehead was sweating unknowingly. He opened the first aid kit without saying a word and began to count the items. There were medical needles, silk threads, disinfectants, and some messy external medicines. Go boil water and boil these knives and needles. Conditions were limited, so this was the only way for now. After giving the order, Ron began to examine the wound. The more he looked, the less sure he was. I've never sewed such a big wound for someone. I'm afraid I can't do it. He can't go to the hospital. Mr. Soul, please feel free to do it. If you give me the tools, I can do it myself. Johnny suppressed the pain and hissed. Prak. Hadhan slapped the back of his head in anger. Johnny's eyes were wide open. He was afraid and terrified, but also determined. Okay, I'll do it, Ron compromised, but it will hurt. There is no anesthetic here. It hurts, Johnny shouted happily in a low voice. It doesn't matter if it hurts, as long as you are willing to save me. Ron didn't have time to joke with him. He asked everyone to put Johnny on the sofa and cover his shoulders with a blanket. The boiling water was brought up. Ron washed his hands and used disinfectant to clean Johnny's wound. After drying with clean gauze, he wrapped his arm tightly with another gauze. Do this for 10 minutes so that the wound fits well and it will be easier to suture. Give him some sweet tea. Johnny was already drowsy, and replenishing sugar can relieve the symptoms of shock. Despite this, He remained calm and trusted Ron very much. Before taking action, Ron also drank a sip of tea to suppress the tension in his heart. Without looking at anyone, he lowered his head and began to sew. The needle was curved and thin, and Ron used tweezers with it, but the first few stitches were very messy. The wound was slippery and it was difficult to fix it with his fingers. Johnny's facial muscles twitched and twisted under his movements, but he didn't scream. By the fifth or sixth stitch, he had found the feeling and grasped the trick, and even Johnny was no longer in so much pain. Human skin is tougher than it looks on the surface, so it is relatively easy to sew, and the thread can be pulled very tight without tearing the tissue. But this process is by no means enjoyable. Every time the needle was stabbed, Ron himself felt the pain. Although there was air conditioning in the room, Ron was still sweating when the sew was completed. Wrap him with a bandage, and remember to check the wound and change the dressing every other day. See, Ron, I told you it's okay, Johnny smiled. Don't be happy too soon, you will have a long and ugly scar. I don't lack women. A burst of laughter broke out in the room, and the atmosphere suddenly became warm. Prack. Hadhan waved his hand and asked everyone to take Johnny down to rest. It's risky. If I mess up, he'll die here. Ron was a little unhappy with him forcing himself to save people, even though he would make the same decision in the end. You underestimate yourself. You are a qualified doctor, I said. I just received some basic training. Ron, can I call you that? Ron shook his head at him, a gesture unique to Indians, and the latter immediately laughed. I'm not kidding. In India, your level is good enough to be a doctor. This sounds like a compliment, but it is also a tragedy for the whole of India. How did he get into this? Ron changed the subject. It was a gang fight. He was ambushed. The other side used a razor and an axe. Ron didn't say anything. This was not surprising. Under the peaceful appearance of Mumbai, violence is actually everywhere. In some bloody fights, even the police dared to stand aside, and the government was helpless. By the way, are you here to exchange money today? Yes, I still have a little money left. Prack. Hadhan took out a cigarette and lit it. He was thinking quietly. I heard that your business is good recently, just making a living, all by making a living from foreigners. That's good. They are not short of money, and you are also very business-minded. Ron couldn't understand his thoughts and could only keep silent. If you have any problems in the future, you can always come to Johnny. He knows where I am. Thank you, Mr. Hadhan. Call me Hadbay. What? Ron was startled. He looked up. He knew the meaning of the word bye. But the other party only left him with his back and waved his hand nonchalantly. He looked at the other people in the room without knowing what was going on. As a result, everyone came around and patted his shoulders cordially. It was a smile from the heart, just like a greeting between family members. Just when Ron thought that there would be extra benefits for him today, such as a higher exchange rate. In the end, he took the money and counted it. It was no different from usual. Forget it. This wave of private transactions totaling nearly $3,000 has made him more than 17,000 rupees. Next, it's time to work hard on his company, and he already has a goal. Victoria Station is a good place. Chapter 18, Ruby leads the way. Baba, your breakfast is ready. Well, I'll be there soon. Ron, sitting cross-legged on the bed, counted the banknotes in front of him one by one. The rupee currently issued by India is the third set of layouts, and the style design is more modern, which has completely gotten rid of the British style of the colonial era. The lowest denomination of the banknote is 2 rupees, and the largest is 500 rupees. The patterns are mostly satellites, tractors, and famous buildings. Of course, Old Man Gandhi is definitely indispensable, and it is on the front of the 500 rupee note. The stack in his hand is all these large denomination banknotes. Counting them, a total of just over 40,000 rupees. This is all Ron's current savings. Oh, no wonder Anand likes to kill fat sheep so much, even he is a little addicted. It is indeed much easier to get gold coins from these foreigners. It's not like those vendors in the market, who have to haggle over things for dozens of paise. After collecting the money, Ron, who was wearing big pants, stretched comfortably. On the table outside, Nia had already prepared food. Milk tea, toasted pretzels, scrambled eggs, simple, warm but appetizing. The electric fan above the head was whirring, but the footsteps of the hot summer were still approaching. Little Nia was cleaning the incense that had burned out at night in the corner of the house. There were so many mosquitoes in Mumbai at night, and it was impossible to stay here without lighting this thing. As she moved, there was a tinkling sound from her wrist from time to time. "Nia Baba, come here." Ron held a toasted pretzels in one hand and waved at her with the other. Little Nia, who didn't understand what was going on, came to him obediently. Ron grabbed her wrist curiously and looked carefully at the bracelets and other accessories. "Brass." Nia shook her head embarrassedly. She wanted to pull her hand back, but Ron didn't let go. "I will turn it into gold before the end of this year, Baba. It's good like this. We have a place to live and we don't have to worry about food. We are happier than most people out there, but for my Nia, it's not enough. I want to see you at your most beautiful." Ron knew that Indians' love for gold had reached a pathological level, especially Indian women. As long as the family has a little money, they will definitely wear a gold bracelet on their wrists. The little comparisons between women are all about this, and over time it has become a part of social culture. It is said that a village in India may not have running water, toilets, schools, or hospitals, but there must be a goldsmith. Nia is in her prime and she also loves beauty. But because she can't afford a gold bracelet, she can only use brass to decorate the facade. Although she is nominally his servant, Ron knows how to cherish women. When Nia's eyes were full of charm, he had already hugged her and put her on his lap. All little Nia's body tensed up as if she had been electrocuted, and her white face quickly turned red. "Ouch," Ron secretly said, guilty. He got up early in the morning and stood up. "Well, let's not talk about the gold bracelet for now, but a few beautiful saris are a must." Ron took out a few rupees and put them on the table. He didn't need money for a few clothes for girls. "Baba, I still have the money you gave me last time. That was for buying food. This is for buying clothes. It's different, but you just opened a company." "I also have clothes." Ron was amused by her cute and sensible appearance. "Master, I don't lack money now. You just need to dress up beautifully every day to make me happy." Reluctantly letting go of her soft body, Ron also tidied himself up and went out. "If you want to start the company's business, you must make some preparations first. The first thing is the company's office location and contact information. Well, because of the conditions, everything is kept simple for the time being." When he registered the company, the address filled in was the current apartment, and the contact information was also the apartment's phone number. Anyway, their business does not require a special place to receive customers. The train station and the airport are the best places to make a deal. After getting all these, we still need employees. Look, Ron and Anand are them. It's not the number of people that matters, but the quality of them. Actually, we don't have the money to hire people. In the past month following Ron, Anand has earned more than the previous 2 years combined. Even if he is asked to go back to work, he will stay. Well, the prototype of a company has been established, and now all that is missing is publicity. Under Ron's command, he and Anand split into 2 groups. One went to produce the company's promotional materials, and the other went to Victoria Railway Station to be the outpost. Of course, Ron was personally responsible for such external publicity. When Anna and the others left, they gave him a complete set of photographs and the negatives that were not used after screening. This is a treasure. As a travel reporter, his photography skills are impeccable. Not only did Ron save the money of hiring someone to take pictures, but the skills of the local third brother might not be comparable to theirs. With these things, he found a notice production company. All of them must be printed in color. There are 2 types of brochures. One is a high-end flip-through type, and the other is an ordinary folding type. The price of color printing will be doubled. A high-end hard paper brochure is 40 rupees per copy, and a soft paper folding brochure is 15 rupees per copy. Print. Ron waved his hand. 20 hard paper brochures and 100 soft paper brochures. You can't catch a wolf without sacrificing your lamb, and you can't save money on advertising. Ron had already prepared the layout of these brochures in his mind. At his request, the advertising company soon produced a sample brochure. After checking that there were no problems, it was printed directly, and Ron paid the money readily. When he arrived at Victoria Railway Station with the brochure still smelling of ink, Anand's place was also doing well. Unexpectedly, there was another acquaintance beside him. "Officer Rajesh, are you on duty in this area today?" "I deliberately exchanged my duty area with my colleague. I heard that you have an event here today." When Ron came, Rajesh was helping Anand set up the venue. "Yes." Ron asked for a place in the train station. It was not big, about 8 or 9 square meters, close to the dispatching room where tickets were sold. For this pudding-sized place, he only bribed the officials of the train station with 2,000 rupees. Otherwise, why would others allow him to do things here? The rupee is the hard truth. As a local snake, Rajesh was the middleman of this deal. Although he was a low-level patrolman, he knew many people and could talk to officials from almost all nearby departments. This was enough for Ron, and what he lacked was connections. Of course, as a middleman, Rajesh also got a lot of benefits, which led to his current enthusiasm for help. When dealing with these lower-level officials in Mumbai, there is an eternal theme: bribery. The place has been chosen, and as the company's facade, it must be well planned. Ron's idea is similar to the simple counters in shopping malls in later generations. The area can be small, but it must look formal. Materials, signs, etc. are all ready. The next step is to set it up and then attract customers. Chapter 19, The City is Tricked. Victoria Station is full of idle people. It is crowded all day long. Some are lying on the ground, some are squatting in the corners, and some are lying in all directions. Straw mats, cups, and luggage are also scattered around. When Ron and his team were setting up the office, these people were reluctant to get up because it was one of the few shady places in the station. It was time for Rajesh to come on stage. He took a wooden stick and beat everyone left and right, making them cry for their parents. The crowd rolled and crawled to avoid it, and soon a large area was vacated. The crying of children and the wailing of adults caused a small commotion. If it were a month ago, Ron might still feel pity, but now he is numb. There are too many Indians. Mumbai alone has a population of more than 13 million. They come from all over the world, and more than 60% of them can't even write their own names. Coupled with their lazy nature and previous living habits, it is impossible to reason with them. This is why Indian police must carry a stick. It is easier to understand than reason. After showing off for a while, Rajesh came back contentedly. To treat these untouchables, just beat them hard with sticks. Thank you for your hard work. Ron handed him a bottle of local ice cola. This thing is called Thumbs Up, which is a local alternative brand after Coca-Cola left India. A 250 milliliters bottle costs about 3 rupees, which is quite affordable. Of course, this is for him. Ordinary people probably don't want to waste so much money. After taking Ron's drink, Rajesh simply became a security guard nearby. With him around, ordinary people don't dare to come to Ron's land. This is good, it can save them a lot of trouble. Without being disturbed by others, Ron and Anand soon set up the small reception desk. There is a desk, a sign, and a simple fence made of plastic cardboard. It is a bit simple, but it is clean and neat. These materials are all customized by Ron. For example, the sign hung on 2 poles reads Mumbai Tourism Information Office. The English name for Mumbai is still Bombay instead of Mumbai. Ron played a little trick here. When he submitted the materials to the officials at the train station, the letterhead said Mumbai. But the sign hanging up was Bombay. Just now, their clerk came to review it and looked up and saw that both were Mumbai. There was nothing wrong with it. One was in Marathi and the other was in English. As a local of Maharashtra, the clerk looked at the English but read the dialect in his mind. The only small flaw was that the sign did not say Mumbai Tourism Information Company, but Information Office. This was a little different from the application materials, but after Ron secretly stuffed 50 rupees into it, the clerk began to praise their reception desk for being clean, formal and clear at a glance. That's right, people who don't know what's going on go to this station, Mumbai Tourism Information Office. Oh, this is an official office of India. Oh, it's right to think so. This is exactly the effect Ron wanted. Put the previously printed brochures neatly on the desk, and it's done. Anand, have you found the friends I asked you to contact? No problem, Ron. They are just outside the train station and doing some small business. Have you practiced the English I taught you seriously when you went back? Nod your head for yes, shake your head for no. Come is for come, go is for go. Okay, okay. Sentences. Sentences are the key. Go to Ron for going to the hotel, taking a car, and encountering problems. Look, even children can recite these English sentences. I'm not worried about you, but your friends. After hanging out with Ron for a while, Anand spoke in English and basic communication are no problem. As for his relatives and friends, Ron thinks it will be difficult. Fortunately, India itself has an English environment, so it shouldn't be difficult to learn. As he was talking, the sound of a whistle came from a distance, and the first express train of Victoria railway station arrived. The crowd crowded in the shade of the hall began to run to the platform in 2s and 3s. Don't get me wrong, They are not rushing to get on the train. Most ordinary people can't afford the tickets for this kind of express train. These people were eager to attract customers. The only people who could take the express train to the station were the rich and foreigners. Run, let's grab a good seat quickly, otherwise all the customers will be divided up by them. Anand was in a hurry and wanted to rush forward reflexively. He used to do business this way. But Ron was not in a hurry, and pointed to the stool beside him. Sit down. Huh? You look like a country bumpkin. You don't look like a government official at all. Anand touched his white shirt. He was dressed. Ron waved his hand impatiently. Just sit here and wait. After saying that, he looked at his seat again. Well, it was right opposite the platform, and he could see it when he got off the train. On the other side, a large number of heads began to spit out from the train one by one. Every time one spit out, a few more black heads squeezed over. Soon, the door was full of people. Hotel. Cheap. Taxi. Taxi. Most of the passengers who just got off the train ignored the people who surrounded them. Only a few of them had to fight with people because they were too shy. The most people surrounded the blonde and blue-eyed foreigners. Everyone knew that they were fat sheep. Unfortunately, one of the 12 white men seemed to be the leader. He looked very experienced and didn't say a word to most of the local guides. If he didn't speak, the other people in the team would never say anything. The white man ignored the various vendors around him and looked around quickly. Soon his eyes lit up. Let's go over there, Paul. Do you know anyone here? A girl in the team asked curiously. No, but I found a reliable place so that we won't be cheated. Following his gaze, everyone saw a simple office located in the hall of the train station. It was empty around it, and those refugee-like locals seemed to be hiding there. Oh, the most important thing is that there are police patrolling next to this office. That's right, this must be an official organization. Everyone was impressed by Paul's sharp eyes. Seeing a group of aggressive foreigners coming over, Anand subconsciously tensed his body. Only Ron was still calm and sipping milk tea. The leader Paul raised his eyes and scanned the sign above, Mumbai Tourism Information Office. It was indeed an official organization, and there was a young man in front of him who was indifferent to him. Paul dared to bet that the other party was the most grassroots official in India. He had seen this kind of people in other places in India. Indian officials were all the same. Excuse me, can I get some news about Mumbai here? While asking this question, Paul slipped a 10-rupee note inconspicuously. Wow, is the white guy so smart? Ron's eyes flashed with surprise. Chapter 20. The slayer is too serious. Faced with a 10 rupees handed in front of him, Ron lightly pressed it down. A foreigner is a foreigner, and he doesn't understand the market in India at a glance. How can you bribe an official with only 10 rupees? Even the lowest level police on the street start with 50 rupees. Of course, the complaints in his heart did not affect Ron's friendly smile. Are you here to travel in Mumbai? Yes, we want to know the local situation. This is exactly my job. Everyone, welcome to Mumbai. Ron opened his arms and greeted them warmly. At the same time, he gave Anand a look. The latter was startled and quickly picked up the brochure on the desk and distributed it to everyone. Oh, it's worthy of being the official propaganda department, and it's well prepared. Paul and others held the brand new brochure and marveled. They have never seen similar arrangements in other cities in India. It's this brochure. Why does it look a little strange? Hey, Mumbai Tourism Information Company? Please take a look at the brochure in your hand. We can provide you with all the guide services from food, clothing, housing, transportation to food, drink and entertainment. Please don't worry about the price. Everything is clearly marked. The photos in the brochure are all taken on the spot. They are definitely not the kind of deceptive tricks for reference only. Taking the hotel for accommodation as an example, Ron arranged them in order from low to high. The single room in the first photo looks small, but it is clean and tidy. The most thoughtful thing is that there are various annotations on the side of the photo, including the room area, basic configuration, and unit price. The second photo is another price range, and the higher the price, the higher the price. The only strange thing is that these hotels are not marked with names, but are referred to as ABCD. Nonsense. If I tell you the name of the hotel, then why do you need me as a middleman? In addition to the hotel, the restaurant in the back is also arranged in a similar way, including various entertainment venues. Simply put, this well-printed treasure book covers all the places to eat, drink and have fun in Mumbai. Ron only printed 10 copies of this high-end flip-through brochure, and now they are all in the hands of foreigners. Paul and his friends were a little sensitive about the word company at first, but they couldn't let it go the more they looked at it. It's so complete. So great. They needed something like this. How about it, everyone? If we provide the service, you don't need to bargain with other idle people. This is a one-stop package. Can you guarantee that the pictures and prices are one-to-one? Will you raise the price under any other excuse? Paul has encountered too many similar things in other cities in India. In his opinion, Indians have no integrity in business. Although Ron's place looks much more reliable now, he still doesn't let down his guard. Facing Paul's questioning, Ron directly took out a stack of documents from the drawer of his desk. This is the registration information of our company and the contract template. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to make it clear to you again. Mumbai Tourism Information Company is officially recognized. Just look at the name of our company and you will know. There's only one in Mumbai. Are you saying that we can sign a service contract here? Of course, we are a legal and formal company. Paul and his group looked at each other. Today's experience was too novel. Since they came to the Indian subcontinent, they almost forgot that they came from the civilized world, where the spirit of contract is most advocated. Now suddenly hearing the word contract in India, they are really not used to it. The 8 or 9 people in this small group gathered together and began to whisper. This company does seem to have some official relationship, but this is India. They look too serious, not like scammers at all. Isn't this a good thing? If you are surrounded by scammers, and now suddenly an honest and good person comes, I think you should be more vigilant. As they chatted, the topic went off track. In the end, it was Paul who made the final decision and chose to sign the contract with Ron. In the hearts of these Westerners, they are still more willing to believe in contracts written in black and white. In addition, Ron's fluent English is also a plus point. They have heard enough of the bulk English with a curry flavor. Thank you very much for your trust. Okay, let's confirm the details of the contract. Then Ron roughly told them about the obligations and rights of both parties, just like Anna and the others. Most of the obligations belong to Ron, and most of the rights belong to the tourists. The prices of all activities are subject to the prices in the brochure, and the Mumbai Tourism Information Company is not allowed to change them at will. The more Paul and his friends listened, the more satisfied they were. See, this is what a regular company does. So after nodding to each other, 3 people came forward to sign the contract. Wait, so your team is actually composed of 3 small groups, right? Yes, we are traveling together, but our destinations and routes are different. Okay, I understand. While preparing the contract, Ron gave Anand a look. Quick, go get someone. After matching brainwaves, Anand ran out of the station. Gentlemen, please sign here. Both parties wrote quickly, and when they were done, Ron took out the seal from the drawer and stamped it. It was done. He also brought a company seal with him, and just hung it on his belt when he left. Next, you can choose the service package. If you like a hotel, just tick the corresponding letter on the list. You can choose any food and entertainment you want. Don't rush, just take your time. At this time, the high-end flip booklet became the menu, and it was also accompanied by a receipt for ordering. The latter is simpler, listed in the format of multiple choice questions. Hotel, A, B, C. Dear restaurant, A, B, C, D. After choosing which one, just tick the corresponding option. It's clear and concise. While this group of foreigners were choosing services, Anand also came with people in a hurry. Taking advantage of this time, Ron gave them an emergency training. What to say and what not to say have been said before, and this time it's just to emphasize it again. They are all Anand's brothers or cousins, and they can be trusted to some extent. Ron talked about it here, and it happened that the foreigners over there also chose the package. Okay, before we officially start our pleasant journey, I have some special services to introduce. These contents are not convenient to write in the manual, but I believe you will be interested in them. Paul and the others pricked up their ears. Special services often arouse great interest. If you need to change the US dollars in your hand into rupees, we can provide exchange services. The exchange rate is about 10% to 20% higher than the official one, depending on the amount. In addition, if you have anything you want to sell, we can also match you up, and the same applies to buying things. If you have the above needs, just come to me directly. Oh, by the way, did you see this round-faced gentleman? His name is Anand, and he can take you to find some exciting fun. Ron's last sentence directly made several foreigners in the group whistle excitedly. Sure enough, anywhere, the things between men and women are always the easiest to interest people. Next, it's time to act separately. Anand's brothers will lead the guests with a list. The ABCD on the bill are marked in Marathi on the back. Except for their own people, foreigners will definitely not understand. In order to ensure the reputation of the first group service, Ron also gave everyone a business card. He told them that if someone asked them for tips in private, they could directly call the number on the business card to complain. Well, Zioneo was forced to work as a customer service at home by Ron. In addition, Ron also gave everyone a copy of the soft paper folding manual, which can be taken away. It mainly introduces the scenic spots in Mumbai. There is no need to hide this. Everyone will know where it is at a glance. There are also some conventional anti-fraud methods, and the soft paper manual also introduces them a little. Of course, these are only common methods. Ron did not write about those that are hard to prevent. Again, if everything is written thoroughly, why do others need a guide? Ron was so excited that he opened 3 orders in one morning. This is only the first express train. Victoria Railway Station has more than one express train today. In addition, he has some other ideas in his mind that are slowly taking shape. Chapter 21 Paying Money. Business at the train station was good, and the sign of the Mumbai Tourist Information Center helped a lot. Foreigners didn't trust the enthusiastic vendors, but they had a special liking for the aloof Ron. In order to arrange guides for them, Ron gathered a group of younger brothers. After a busy week, it was time to pay them their wages today. Anand, are all the people here? All of them, Ron. They got up from their wives' beds at 5:50 in the morning. They have never been so diligent. Anand shook his head comically, causing a burst of laughter in the room. Okay, everyone sit down. Ron took a stack of lists and walked to the front of the room. This morning he booked a tea house downstairs from his apartment. Because it was just after 6 o'clock, there were few people in the market at this time, and the surroundings were very quiet. After everyone sat down sparsely, Ron took a quick look in front and saw about 10 people. Some of them were Anand's relatives and friends, and some were helpers Ron found halfway from nearby. Judging from their clothes, they were all from the lowest class in Mumbai. Their castes were not much higher. They usually made a living by doing odd jobs in the streets. When they met Ron's eyes, more than half of them looked away in fear. Because they had learned from Anand that Ron was a Brahmin. In countless past experiences, the fear of Brahmins had been engraved into their bones. They were whipped for no reason for looking at him for a second, they were searched first when something was stolen, and they were vented on them when they were in a bad mood. There were so many such things that they subconsciously avoided their eyes when they saw Brahmins like Ron. Having lived in Mumbai for such a long time, Ron had some understanding of this, but this was not the focus of today's discussion. In the past week, Mumbai Tourism Information Company received a total of 66 foreign tourists and signed 20 contracts. Wow! Anand, who was in charge of the event, screamed excitedly. With his lead, sporadic cheers rang out in the room. Anand, here, he stood up excitedly. You received 4 waves of guests last week, with a total consumption of 52,000 rupees. According to the commission, this is your 1,000 rupee bonus. Ron put down the bill in his hand, picked up a paper bag on the table and handed it over. Anand, who was very excited, almost danced to Ron. 1,000 rupees was not a small number in India in 1992. It was enough for an ordinary family to live for 2 or 3 months. As the money was taken out, the people below stared with wide eyes and seemed to forget to breathe. Saint, Ron really gave money. Sanjay, here, a brown-skinned man jumped up reflexively. You received 3 waves of guests last week, with a total consumption of 38,000 rupees. This is your bonus, 400 rupees. Looking at the paper bag in Ron's hand, Sanjay's head was buzzing and his legs could not move. Why, you don't want it? Ron's teasing seemed to have pressed a switch, and Sanjay's legs went limp and he rolled over. When he arrived in front of Ron, he knelt down on the ground, perhaps because he was too excited. Master Ron, is this really for me? I swear to Lord Shiva, it's yours. Holding the paper bag in his hand, Sanjay cried and laughed at the same time. After working for so many years, the biggest reward he received was 20 rupees 400 to 20. He couldn't even figure out how many times the difference was. Get up. If you want to thank me, then work hard later, I promise, I swear to Lord Shiva. Sanjay touched Ron's soul with his hand and knocked his head heavily on the ground. When he returned to his seat and sat down, Ron glanced at everyone again. Their eyes were no longer dodging, but replaced by a light of desire. I told you that as long as you work hard, you will get a lot of rupees. But if you want to get a high commission like Anand and Sanjay, you must let the customers spend more than 10,000 rupees. The higher the consumption, the higher the commission. 10,000 rupees is the lowest level, which is only about 80 rupees. Ron is not a charity, he runs a company to make money. A consumption of 10,000 rupees will only make him about 2,000 in profit. With this little money, the commission is shit. Of course, he will not let people work for nothing. If they cannot reach the commission baseline, he will give 10 rupees per customer as a hard work fee, and at least once a day. In other words, even if these people cannot make up the consumption of 10,000 rupees in a month, he will still give them a basic salary of 300 rupees. Don't worry, he won't lose money. Because foreigners are very rich, they spend thousands of rupees to stay in a hotel casually. If they eat, drink, play, buy some souvenirs, etc., 10,000 rupees is easy. After all, for foreigners, it is only about 500 or 600 US dollars. If there is really someone who can't get this commission, Ron will still give the basic salary. This is how running a company is. Labor costs are an issue that cannot be avoided. You can't just find someone to act as a guide when a customer comes to your door. Not to mention that they haven't been trained and can't take up the job. Even if the other party is willing, Ron doesn't trust them. Indians are very cunning. They might cheat the customers privately, and Ron's company will be blamed. So he would rather keep one or two more idle people than go to the street to find someone to replace them temporarily. Among the 10 people in the room today, half of them can't get the commission, and their salary is only 70 rupees. Are they willing to continue working? Of course they are willing. The least valuable thing in India is people. If you don't do it, there are plenty of people who are willing to do it. Even many people got so much money for the first time, and they couldn't believe it. It was common to work for those Brahmin masters without being paid. They were submissive and didn't even dare to go up to argue. But who would have thought that Ron really paid? Everyone in the tea house was chattering, no longer as stagnant as at the beginning. You work, and the Mumbai Tourism Information Company pays us, and we follow the rules. But let me be frank, if anyone dares to have bad intentions on the guests, don't blame me for being rude. Ron emphasized this to the other party every time he made a deal. If someone actively asked them for tips or changed the price without permission, they could call and complain directly. The guides here have no bargaining power. All hotels and restaurants are based on their grades, and Ron has already reached an agreement with them. The guests brought by the Mumbai Tourism Information Company will follow the prices in the brochure and settle the bill once a week. One-stop service, tourists don't have to bargain frequently, which is this company's unique competitive advantage. But if someone breaks the rules, this advantage will disappear, so Ron attaches great importance to this. Everyone also knows that he has a good relationship with the police on the streets of Mumbai, and there are plenty of ways to deal with them. At this moment, hearing Ron's warning, no one dared to play tricks. Master Ron, you give us work and money, we can't thank you enough. Yes, we know the rules. Okay, get ready and start working. By the way, Anand, pass out the custom-made work cards. In everyone's curious eyes, Anand took a string of red hanging cards and handed one to each person. This thing is similar to the work card in later generations. A strap passes through the shell and can be hung directly on the chest. On it is everyone's HUD photo, as well as the company's logo and name. Hang it in front of you, and it instantly looks like that. As a company, of course, it must be standardized. Isn't this much better than the refugees at the train station? Okay, adjourn. Ron waved his hand and asked everyone to go to the train station to start work. Ron, I have something to discuss with you. Everyone dispersed and Anand stayed. Let's talk while we walk. By the way, there are some extra commissions. Come to me to get them in the evening. Ron will give him some grey income that is not convenient to record separately. The specific accounts had not yet been fully calculated, and Zionia's fingers were sore from pressing the calculator at home. However, in just a few days, Ron realized that there was really a lot of money in the travel information company. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22, Unusual business. It was a little after 7 in the morning, and the bazaar in Mumbai had just woken up. A cup of hot milk, a toasted wheat cake, and a few kebabs. This was Ron's breakfast. He walked and talked with Anand while holding these foods, and the rustling sound in his ears was the shopkeepers opening their doors to welcome customers. What do you want to talk to me about? There are a few foreigners who want to do some special business with me. Women, is this special? Anand was stunned. What is that? It's hemp grass. Ron paused. The kind that grows in the fields. Yes, it's everywhere in India. It's our culture, and it's also the reason why many foreign tourists are willing to come here for fun. But I remember that the law seems to have restricted these. What is the law? Ron squinted and looked at the silly Anand. Good guy, they're all lawless lunatics, right? We can tell them where to find this thing, but don't get involved in the specific transaction. This is the bottom line. Okay, I know what to do. The atmosphere in India is sometimes really hard to describe. What Ron thought was absolutely untouchable, many locals were used to it. Even in some states, the government was planting it on a large scale, and it was legal. All kinds of magical operations. Ron was like watching a fairy tale, a fantasy. He didn't want to get involved in these things, so he finished his breakfast in a hurry and went straight to Victoria railway station. It is the main station in Mumbai, and the frequency of trains is much higher than other places. In fact, it is not just here, other train stations in India are also overcrowded all year round. Population is the main factor, and the coexistence of 4-track wits is also one of the reasons. From Delhi to Mumbai, it is not a one-train trip, and it often takes several transfers in the middle. In the final analysis, it is because the track width is inconsistent, and a train can only run on one track width. But frequent stops have also created the prosperity of the railway station. Take Victoria railway station as an example. When Ron and his friends arrived, it was already very noisy. The long and flat interstate platform extended outward and disappeared under the sky of the metal shed. Such a wide place, at around 8 o'clock in the morning, there was no room to stand. The office of the Mumbai Tourism Information Company was particularly conspicuous among the crowd. After a week of fermentation, the vendors and local tyrants who often came here already knew that someone was protecting this place. They automatically stayed away, leaving the reception area as if it was a forbidden area. But the crowds of people coming and going didn't know that since Ron sat down, people in groups of 3 or 4 came to ask for directions. Those who lost their luggage, looked after their children, and went to the toilet all came to ask. This made Ron very annoyed. In the end, he had no choice but to put up another sign next to it. Foreign guests only. It was written in Hindi and Marathi, and this was for the local natives to see. If there were any illiterate people who didn't have eyes, Rajesh's stick would reason with them. Rajesh liked to work at the railway station, the most recently because he could earn extra money every day. His group of colleagues would also benefit from it. Ron had formed a tacit understanding with the police in this area. The latter helped him to clear all kinds of small troubles, and Ron would put a few rupees in their pockets as usual. After being tossed around like this, ordinary people in this circle dared not approach at all. It was precisely because of this that everyone felt that the reception here was official. Not only did foreigners like to come and take a look, but Indians who had just got off the train also subconsciously came over when they encountered something. Speaking of foreigners, sometimes they gathered here not just to discuss business. For example, the two in front of him, without even flipping through the manual on the table, had a lot of questions. Why is the cow the most sacred animal in India? There are many theories, and there are 2 mainstream ones. One says that the cow is the mount of Lord Shiva, and the other says that the cow is one of the incarnations of Vishnu. Don't Indians eat beef? Not all of them. Hinduism and Jainism adhere to this. The former is because of the legend just now, and the latter is because of the doctrine of not killing. Does that mean some Indians eat beef? Muslims don't care about these. Sikhism has its own slaughtering ceremony. But miss, we are a travel information company, and you can ask the Cultural Administration Bureau for cultural issues. After answering all kinds of weird questions, Ron finally lost his patience with the 2 cute foreign girls in front of him. I'm here to do business, not to teach you about Indian culture. Seeing his lips curled up slightly, the 2 girls smiled even more happily. They picked up the brochure on the table and flipped through it casually. We can choose all the hotels above, right? Of course, these are real photos, and the prices are fixed. Then we can also choose the guide we like. Okay. One of the girls with a petite face picked up a pen and started to tick. Ron was so fast that he couldn't react. She threw the pen on the table in just a dozen seconds. This is the hotel we chose, but you have to take us there in person. Ron blinked. Yes, we only need your service. This is the premise of the transaction. Ron turned his head and looked at Anand and the dark-skinned Sanjay, who gave him a helpless look. Two beautiful ladies. My price is not cheap. I am the chief guide here. I guess so. One of the girls with a small face looked Ron up and down. But you are worth our money. Okay. Ron took out a train timetable from the drawer and began to check the time. He got this from the dispatch room of the railway station. With this timetable, Mumbai Tourism Information Company is even more prosperous. When the express and special express trains arrive at the station, and how many trains there are on the same day, these are all business opportunities for Ron. Of course, this thing is not free. It is updated once a day, and he has to bribe once a day. Ron checked and found that the next express train is in 2 hours. If he just sends them to the hotel, there should be enough time. Since the customer has a demand, as the service provider, Ron must try his best to meet it. After instructing Anand, Ron took the two foreign girls out of the railway station. Taxis are all ready, and many of them have recently cooperated with Ron's company. He picked an acquaintance, and he said hello, and the car went straight to the destination. Indian Travel Agency. This hotel is the place chosen by the two girls. The front desk boss Ziyangtu is an old acquaintance. When he saw Ron coming in, he personally took a group of people to see the room. How is it? There is no difference from the photo, right? Yeah, not bad. The little-faced girl nodded with satisfaction. This handsome Indian man did not lie to them. To be honest, this made them a little disappointed because they could not find an excuse to make trouble. Oh, by the way, we also want to discuss another business with you. So, the two girls glanced at Ziyangtu at the door, who wisely left the room and closed the door considerately. What's the deal? Ron didn't finish his sentence, and was suddenly gently pushed against the wall. After meeting the fiery eyes of the two, he reacted. After all this time, are you trying to lust after his body? Chapter 23, a large portion. Hey, ladies, if you want to have fun, I can help you make the connection. We have all kinds of stuff, can't you? We can pay. The girl with a small face stretched out her fingers and slid down Ron's collar, unbuttoning his buttons silently along the way. Her exquisite technique was amazing. The other girl behind her licked her lips mischievously, and her charming eyes wandered over Ron's strong chest. Wait, Ron grabbed the girl's wrist in front of him. This is not within my service scope. Don't be so nervous. You are the only Indian man we are interested in after staying here for 2 months. Others. Sorry, this is not racial discrimination, but other Indian men are really disgusting. While saying this, the girl had already grabbed Ron's hand and pressed it against her chest. Miss, you have a great figure. But my religious beliefs do not allow me to do this. By the way, what should I call you? Mary. She has a petite face and bright red hair. Very beautiful, with ice blue eyes that always seem to be smiling. Lena, the other girl, had a round face, blonde hair and slightly thick lips. She was very sexy and also very beautiful. The two girls looked at each other. Are you serious? There is such a religion in India. Absolutely true. There are so many religions in India that I can't even count them myself. Well, we have no intention of offending other people's beliefs. Mary stepped back slightly, and Ron's palms were empty. To be honest, this feeling of oppression is very nostalgic, but a home run is not good. No one knows if there will be trouble after playing poker with him, and Ron doesn't want to guess. As mentioned before, the water in Mumbai is too deep. The more you contact, the more obvious this feeling is. Buttoning his shirt again, Ron put on a gentleman's smile. So that's it for today. Before leaving, do you mind if we discuss another business? What? Mary winked at Lena, who put her backpack on the bed and took things out one by one. They were all exquisite digital products, including cameras, Walkmans, and even game consoles. Soon, there were 7 or 8 things on the bed, occupying about a quarter of the bed. Tell me, you didn't rob a tour group, did you? Mary chuckled, and Lena simply blew him a kiss. Okay, Ron raised his hands in surrender. According to the rules, I shouldn't ask where these things came from. Someone said you have a good reputation, so we went to Mumbai specially. So they didn't originally belong to Mumbai? Oh, that's fine. Ron clapped his hands easily. It was one of his principles not to sell stolen goods in the same city. So you can help us find a good way. I need to see your goods first. Ron took out a pair of white gloves from his pocket. He loves his job and is a professional in inspecting goods. White gloves will not damage the customer's things and will not leave fingerprints. They are a must-have for black market enthusiasts. Well, in fact, only Ron is so particular. Other Indians will just grab them as soon as they get their hands on them, and they don't care about you. The most valuable items on the bed were 4 cameras, including Ricoh, Nikon and Canon, with brand new prices ranging from $400 to $800. All the Walkmans were Sony, with a brand new market price of about $200. The remaining Nintendo handheld game console was not worth much, at most $150. After carefully looking through the items, Ron nodded with satisfaction. They are all in good condition, there should be no shortage of buyers. Yes, Mary and Lena cheered and high-fived. So when are we going to complete this deal? The two seemed to be impatient. Ron took off his gloves and tilted his head. Bring your things and follow me. This kind of small business can be seen everywhere in Mumbai, and it is not the first time that Ron has dealt with it. Just last week, a tourist received by his company asked him if he could help resell a camera. At that time, Ron realized that there was profit in this, and sure enough, after asking around on the black market, he opened a new door. The Indian black market sells everything, from living people to gold luxury goods to ordinary Bollywood movie tickets. There is nothing you can't buy, only what you can't think of. And the black market is also scattered in large and small markets all over Mumbai according to the categories of transactions. To deal with such scarce electronic products, you have to go to the thieves' market, which is well known among the locals. Jewel Market, the largest flea market in Mumbai, has more things here than department stores. Is it safe? Looking at the noisy and crowded crowd in the market, Mary was both excited and worried. Ron smiled. He pushed open the car door and walked straight to a policeman. Then, in the shocked eyes of Mary and Lena, he stuffed 50 rupees into the pocket of the policeman. It's safe now, Ron smiled and motioned them to get out of the car. God! Are you openly bribing a policeman? And when they were carrying a backpack of unknown origin. Yes, this is a legitimate bribe, a specialty from India. Ron said it so frankly that Mary and the others could not tell whether he was being sarcastic or introducing the customs and practices of India. So this is a smuggling place protected by the police. Don't say it so harshly, we usually call it an unofficial duty-free zone. Unofficial duty-free zone? Mary's poor brain was not as big as her big thunder. It took her a long time to react before she realized that the two were talking about the same thing. Ron, who was familiar with the place, took Mary and Lena to a small shop in the market. There was a handwritten sign on the open door. Radio Clinic, mainly engaged in electrical appliance repair and electronic equipment trading. The owner, Vikrant Deshpande. Vikrant Deshpande was a stout man in his 50s, with a bald head, gray hair, and thick white eyebrows. He sat behind a solid wooden counter, surrounded by a radio that was playing loudly, a Walkman that had been disassembled into pieces, and boxes containing parts. Ron, welcome again. Vikrant Deshpande's eyes were attracted by the other two figures at the door. Vikrant, there's a big deal today, I saw it, there's a really bigger than Indian women's. Ron glanced at him, then turned to look at Mary behind him. I just measured it with my hand, it's quite big. Oh, damn, Vikrant swallowed hard. If there are 2 of them, I may not be able to pay. Hey, what are you talking about? Ron and Vikrant were communicating in Marathi, and when it reached the ears of Mary and the others, it turned into gibberish. Nothing, I'm helping you to make friends, and then let him give you a good price. Mary and Lena were skeptical, and their intuition told them that the old Indian man's eyes were very obscene. Okay, take out the things, right here. Where do you want? Some dark room that is not transparent to light. Mary shrugged, and she and Lena put the things in the backpack on the counter one by one. Damn, this business is more exciting than I thought. Vikrant swallowed again. Chapter 24, A Small Profit. Seeing the things on the table, Vikram quickly half-closed the door. This was to tell the people outside that they were discussing business here and no one was allowed to disturb them. Now, let me take a look at these little cuties. Vikram stretched out a chubby hand and grabbed one of the cameras, and turned on the flashlight with the other hand. Such a quick and rough action made Mary and the others frown. The two couldn't help but doubt each other's professionalism in their hearts. Ron was not like this just now. Vikram's movements were very fast. He mainly looked at some places like the lens. After returning the things to their original places, he tapped the table with his thick fingers and asked in Marathi, You come? Or do they do it themselves? I'm just a middleman, but since they are my clients, I'll be gentle." After saying that, Ron took a step back and gave the place to Mary and the others. "Wait, is that all?" The two girls looked at him warily and confusedly. "I'll take you to a place to sell your stuff, and I'll take 5%. This is the industry rule. But if you hire me to help you bargain, the commission will become 10%. Which one do you choose?" Mary and Lena looked at each other. "There are so many things to sell something." "Well, what's the difference between the two? Will you give us a better price?" "The difference is huge." Ron looked at them meaningfully, "enough to make you feel that you're getting more value for money." Mary's eyes turned around him, and then she said decisively, 10%. "The next negotiation is up to you." "Are you sure?" "I'm willing to take a gamble if I can refuse a beautiful girl's advances." Ron smiled, but Vikrant looked bitter. "Dude, you shouldn't be so blunt. You heard it too. I've already refused such a beautiful girl once. I can't refuse a second time." In the following bargaining, Mary and the others couldn't get involved at all. The two spoke a lot of Marathi in a rapid-fire manner, which even the local Indians might not understand. Just when Mary was wondering if they would fight, the scene suddenly became quiet. "Okay, it's done." Ron gestured to them, and Vikram got up and went to the inner room. "What do you mean it's done? How much will he pay for these things?" "You'll know soon." Ron smiled mysteriously. If the things were not still on the counter, Mary and Lena would have suspected that this was a scam. Just when their patience was about to be worn out, Vikram came back with a whole bundle of rupees. 4 cameras for 60,000 rubles, 3 Walkmans for 15,000 rupees. The game console is not easy to sell, so it's priced at 2,500 rupees. Oh, God! Mary and Lena were so excited that they were incoherent. They couldn't believe what they saw. It was beyond their expectations. "Don't be too excited yet. Count the money." "God, we made a fortune. What's going on?" "How did he do it?" Amid the flattery, Ron finally took over the job of counting the money. How could the two foreign girls tell the real rupees from the fake ones? After confirming that everything was correct, Ron flicked his finger, and a dozen rupees popped out of the neatly stacked rupees. "This is my reward, 7,750 rupees. Happy cooperation." He held the money between his fingers and quickly put it into his pocket. His movements were so fast and neat, just like a squid's tentacles catching prey and putting it into its mouth. Mary and the others, who were full of happiness and dizziness, didn't even confirm the specific amount, and hurriedly stuffed the rupees into their backpacks. After saying hello to Vikrant, Ron led them back the same way. Along the way, the two had too many questions to confirm with him, but they couldn't wait to speak until they returned to the hotel. "Ron, what's going on? This price, it's too high, isn't it? It's almost the same as the price of those new electronic products." "Yes, that's right. This is very abnormal. Don't be surprised. Anything can happen in India." As mentioned earlier, India just liberalized its economic policies last year. Before that, in order to protect its domestic manufacturing industry, India has always imposed high import tariffs on electronic products. From small electronic watches to large household appliances. The lowest tariff threshold is 30%, and the highest is 100%. This means that if you want to sell normal electronic products in India, the price is generally much higher than that in the international market. A $500 camera cannot make money unless it is sold for $1,200 in India. Such a high price makes most people stay away. But the market demand will not disappear, so the black market came into being. Local vendors often offer $600 to buy the $500 camera in the hands of tourists. When tourists hear this, "Wow! My second-hand things are sold at a higher price than new ones, so this business is not a loss." The two parties hit it off and the deal is done. The same is true for Mary's things. Ron directly sells them at the price of new ones. After Vikram took them away, he resold them and made another 30% profit, easily. This is because the Indian government has just relaxed import and export taxes, otherwise Ron's price would be even higher. Unfortunately, in a few years, when the tax rate gradually returns to normal, there will be no such good things. 4 cameras, 3 Walkmans, and a handheld game console, with a total value of $3,100. The exchange rate of the rupee has been a bit weird recently. It was 118 last month, but it has dropped to 125 this month. It's a big dive. $3,100 can now be exchanged for 77,500 rupees. Well, That's according to the official exchange rate. Vikram actually made much more than the 30% difference. Buddy and Ron are partners, so the latter turned a blind eye. But Mary and the others didn't know these details, so they were naturally surprised by such an outrageous high price. Ron explained the rough reasons to them, but didn't talk about the details. Again, if he explained everything clearly, what would he make as a middleman? Don't you really consider staying to have some fun? I still have to go back to run the company. You know, making money is exciting. In fact, Ron had already seen that the two beauties didn't have that intention at the beginning. Maybe they did this out of some kind of test. After all, the things they carried were valuable. If the middleman they found was greedy and couldn't control his desires, it would be very dangerous. Ron also didn't want to find out their identities. From their neat and tidy methods, he knew they were not ordinary tourists. But it didn't matter. The first rule of the black market was, don't be curious about the identities of the two parties in the transaction. Ron was in a good mood the whole morning after making a small profit of more than 7,000 rupees. Oh, after touching the big thunder, why does the weather feel hotter and hotter? Ron couldn't help but think of little Nia at home. Tisk, she's a little too young. Forget it, go back and take a look. Check her accounts for the past week and see if she has figured it out. Chapter 25. He wants to meet you. By April, it was common for the temperature in Mumbai to exceed 30 degrees. At noon, except for a few vendors on the street, tourists and pedestrians hid. Ron spent 1 rupee to buy a freshly peeled coconut and strolled leisurely on the street. There were street snacks everywhere, yogurt, jelly, fruit salad, mixed soda drinks, all placed on mobile carts in the open air. The hot temperature always makes people want to have a bite of food to cool down. But India, hey, you can't look closely. There are flies on the plates, the dirt on the bottom of the pot is thicker than the iron pot itself, and the bucket for washing cups is turbid. Clean and hygienic? Ron, a native, didn't dare to do it, even though the stomach and intestines of this body have adapted to these. After choosing and choosing, it is still more reliable to peel the coconut. Dig a hole, insert a straw, it's delicious. There are a lot of vendors selling beverages on the streets of India, and there are even those selling well water. The children from the slums, carrying buckets and cups in their hands, would go up to passers-by to sell their products. At 15 paise per cup, many people bought it. The weather in India is really too hot. People need to keep drinking water when they go out, otherwise they will be in danger of dehydration. Over time, there are all kinds of people selling coconuts, sugarcane juice, soda, milk tea, and well water. Ron looked at the streets while calculating his business. Anand was looking after Victoria Railway Station, and after more than half a month, he was able to cope with the operation of the office. But now there are not enough staff, especially guides who can introduce the local customs and people in English. Why do tourists choose Mumbai Tourism Information Company instead of the scattered soldiers in the railway station? Isn't it because their service is in place, with a one-stop service for food, clothing, housing and transportation, and tourists can just order directly by looking at the brochure? On the other hand, the local Indians are cunning, greedy, and like to take advantage of small bargains. Bargaining is almost happening all the time. Ron saved the tourists from this process. While other vendors were still nagging, he had already arranged the tourists' arrangements for the next few days. It was simple and efficient. But there were also problems. The company was just starting out, and there were many things to deal with. Although there were already more than a dozen people under him, there was not even a proper office space. There were also businesses that were not convenient to put on the table. The tourism industry alone involved more than Ron had imagined. They were all commissions, and he wanted them all. Hey! Ron, who was still thinking about things, paused for a moment before realizing that someone was calling him. Johnny. Yes, it's me. Johnny was sitting in the back seat of a yellow taxi on the side of the road, smiling. How are you? I'm recovering well. Come on, get in and sit down. Ron threw the empty coconut shell to the side of the road and climbed into the car. They were already old friends. I haven't seen you recently, I'm busy with business. You know, I make a living from foreigners now. Hatterbhai admires you very much. He said you are a truly smart person. He may have a good impression of me because of what happened last time. No, that's not the case. Hatterbhai never praises people easily. Whenever this name was mentioned, Johnny's eyes would burst into a kind of admiration that was almost worship. Ron was surprised by this kind of emotion, especially from the sturdy Johnny. Your wound looks almost healed, but be careful not to tear the wound, otherwise it will easily get infected. Thank you, Ron. I owe you a huge favor. We are friends. Yes, very good friends. Johnny happily touched his shoulder with his fist. Be careful and don't always mess yourself up. I should go back, Ron. Hatterbay asked me to say sorry for you when I see you. Why? Ron was a little surprised. About your parents. He said that you were born in different religious families, but this does not affect your friendship. I am glad that you think so. My parents' affairs cannot be blamed on a single individual. I knew it, Ron. You are a good person, and he wants to see you again. Now, no, don't be so anxious. Call me in advance when you are free, okay? I will. The taxi carrying Johnny whirred away, and Ron stood on the street frowning and thinking. Mumbai is indeed a mixed bag, and Hardcon has checked his background. Ron expected it. When he first participated in the black market transaction, he had thought about this day. As for why Johnny was asked to convey an apology, he also had a rough idea. Ron came from a Hindu family, and Hardcon was most likely from an Islamic background. This can be seen from their surnames. One implies the meaning of God, and the other is a Turkic Muslim noble caste. The conflict between these two religions in India has lasted for hundreds and thousands of years. However, neither Ron nor Hardcon are extreme religious elements. They are businessmen, the kind of people who can put faith after interests. Hadhan asked Johnny to bring a message, which showed goodwill, so of course he would not refuse. As for the background check, is it a strange thing? He has been in Mumbai for less than 2 years, and anyone with a keen eye can find out everything. There is nothing to hide. But Ron guessed that the deep meaning of his appointment with him was still related to the black market of foreign exchange. The rupee has been falling recently, and foreign currencies will naturally become more popular. Rich people don't want to see their wealth shrink, so the first place they think of is the black market. It seems that the Mumbai Tourism Information Company has attracted the attention of some people. After all, it has so many foreign customers. Tisk, trouble is coming. Naya, how is the account? Baba Naya happily threw down the pen and ran over to get him a wet towel. After walking around outside, Ron's back was already wet. After wiping the sweat and being blown by the ceiling fan above his head, it feels so comfortable. It's a pity that there is no refrigerator in the apartment, otherwise it would be more beautiful to lick the popsicle. Baba, take a look, this is the account I sorted out. Nia handed him the account book as if to take credit. Well, not bad. Our little Nia is pretty and smart, as long as the master is happy. Ron scratched her little nose habitually and lay down on the rattan chair, making a series of squeaks. In the past 10 days, Mumbai Tourism Information Company has received nearly 100 foreign tourists. 30 or 40 contracts have been signed. Tourists rarely come alone, and most of them come in groups of 3 or 2. About half of the orders have already received commissions. According to the original negotiation agreement, Ron returns the accounts once a week. Oh, little Nia calculated very detailed items, and the income and expenditure are clear at a glance. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.